It was very safe in this place. LV Qinlian did not need to worry about that group of elf. She brought Chen Xiang along a small river and entered a very peaceful-looking village. It was very safe in this place. LV Qinlian did not need to worry about that group of elf. She brought Chen Xiang along a small river and entered a very peaceful-looking village. Chen Xiang looked around, thinking that he could see some beautiful girls. He had heard that LV Qinlian had taken over the entire divine female palace, so there should be many beautiful girls that gathered here. But now, he was disappointed because he didn't see a single person. Why isn't there anyone here? Chen Xiang followed in LV Qinlian's footsteps and asked. Perhaps elder sister knew that you came here and told them not to run around, worried that you would bring disaster upon them. LV Qinlian chuckled. It's just a joke, most of my sisters went out, they aren't staying here all day. What are you going out for? And there are so many of them. Chen Xiang walked along the road, but he did not even see a single person. Carry out all kinds of training. It's all arranged, so we might have to go for a while. LV Qinlian pointed to a small villa in front of them, and said, Bing Yan is inside. Chen Xiang could already hear the bell-like laughter of the girls, only Shui Bingyan's voice was more familiar. Right as LV Qinlian brought Chen Xiang to the small villa, Shui Bingyan flew out from within. Currently, she was wearing a gorgeous red dress and looked extremely gorgeous. Even though it had been a while since Chen Xiang had seen her, she had become very strong. Elder brother Shen Yuer. She followed Feng Yujie back to the Nine Heaven world. Because the time here and the place was different, she spent a lot of time here and she missed Yuer and Chen Xiang very much. At this time, a few slim and pretty women walked out of the small villa. They all stared at Chen Xiang with their eyes wide open and expressions filled with surprise, as if they were seeing a man for the first time. Elder Lu, he is the legendary Chen Xiang. A lady in a blue dress asked in a low voice. Seeing Chen Xiang looking at her with a smile on his face, she blushed and lowered her head. She did not dare to look at Chen Xiang again. LV Qinlian saw that Chen Xiang's naughty eyes were staring at the girls. She walked over and patted Chen Xiang's shoulders, and said in a tender voice, Little scoundrel, behave yourself, don't harm these little sisters. All of you can go back. This Chen Xiang is a big bad guy, the kind that's really, really bad. LV Qinlian said to the girls. How bad? A purple-dressed lady with an oval face chuckled and glanced at Chen Xiang's handsome face. Just as LV Qinlian was about to answer, he heard another voice. As long as you get familiar with him, he will find an opportunity to peek at you bathing, or he will make a move on you. This was Long Xue's voice, so Chen Xiang could only shake his head and laugh bitterly. Since Long Xue had gotten such a good opportunity, he would definitely slander him. No, Bing Yan said that elder brother Shen is a good person. The beautiful oval-faced woman said. Her small and exquisite face was pretty and charming, and her smile carried a trace of seductive charm. She walked to Bing Yan's side, pinched Yuer, and said, It's not like you guys don't know that it's easy to fool Binger, that's why she said that. Chen Xiang walked over and pinched Long Xue's beautiful face, then scolded, Little naughty dragon, you're slandering my glorious image again? Chen Xiang smiled faintly at the girls. My beautiful sisters, don't listen to their nonsense. If I were really that bad, they wouldn't be able to have such a good relations. Hi+P with me. Long Xue pouted, and then opened Chen Xiang's hands. The few girls felt the same way. They all smiled at Chen Xiang politely, then left the villa, not knowing what to do. It's so quiet here. At this time, Shui Bingyan walked over and held his arm, and brought him into the villa. He sat down in a courtyard and took out all kinds of delicious fruits and drink. LV Qinlian said, You guys stay here and chat. I'm going to refine some poison. Are you all so busy? Chen Xiang was eating a cherry red fruit, it was very sweet. When LV Qinlian walked out of the villa, he did not know where he would go. At this moment, he was accompanied by Long Xue and Shui Bingyan. Everyone is very busy. Since they each had their own things to do, many of the sisters in the village went out to cultivate. Xian, Menger and the others who were experts in smithing were also smithing array discs. On the other hand, Sister Xiang Yu and Sister Mei Yao are refining pills, while Qian Xiang and Yulan, these two wild girls, are also out fighting. Long Shui said. Chen Xiang laughed. Aren't you very free? Where? I just happen to have some free time today, and am now the head instructor. Long Shui said proudly. Just as Chen Xiang was about to tease them, a red figure suddenly flashed in. Shui! I need your help! Just as she finished speaking, she saw Chen Xiang and shouted in shock. Junior brother! The red-clothed female was the Sword God's daughter, W. A.N. G. Jeans. H.I. H.E.L. Lo senior sister. Chen Xiang smiled. Is there anything I can help you with? It's good that you're back. I'm so worried about you. W. A.N. G. Jeans. H.I. pinched Chen Xiang's face and laughed, remembering that she still had something important to say. She said seriously. We are searching for information on the underworld sect, and made a few discoveries, but we need to hide very carefully in order to sneak in. Yulan and I are unable to do it, so they asked me to come back and call for you. Chen Xiang chuckled. You left Yulan and Qianxiang there. I think they are too yellow, they are not the patient ones, they probably already went in. Long Shui laughed. Don't worry about that, those two wild girls have changed a lot and aren't as crazy as before. Big sister little s. H.I. just go with him. This guy's the only one with a strong concealment ability. Is it going to take a long time? Why don't I go see Xian and the others first? Chen Xiang said. I'll be back as soon as tomorrow. With a transmission array plate, it'll be fast. W. A.N. G. Jeans. H.I. had already pulled Chen Xiang out of the cave. She brought Chen Xiang to a place in the village that was filled with green brick. What is this? Chen Xiang only felt an extremely rich energy being sealed within that ball of white light. The energy used for the teleportation came from the dragon vein below. W. A.N. G. Jeans. H.I. took out an array disc and placed it on a small, glowing hole. Chen Xiang also walked up and W. A.N. G. Jeans. H.I. said, This is something Menger and the others refined for us, and it is specifically used for teleportation. Although the array disk contains the required energy for teleportation, when it's free, we should use it here, so as to not be in need of it in the future. They are really powerful. They were able to stir up so many strange things. Chen Xiang laughed. The array disk had already activated, and teleported away with him and W. A.N. G. Jeans. H.I. As the Sword God's daughter, W. A.N. G. Jeans. H.I. had long since set her eyes on LV Qilian, so she had also joined his ranks. Chen Xiang was not too surprised. The formation plate brought Chen Xiang and his sister and teleported them to a dark forest. After WNG Jeans H.I. put away the formation plate, he asked, Junior brother, how much divine deity have you condensed? The formation plate brought Chen Xiang and his sister and teleported them to a dark forest. After W. A.N. G. Jeans H.I. put away the formation plate, he asked, Junior brother, how much divine deity have you condensed? Almost 3. Chen Xiang suddenly felt that he needed to go into closed-door cultivation for a period of time to condense more divine deity. His time in Super G. O. D realm was different from here, the time was rather slow here, and now that he had returned, the people here all had very high cultivations, adding on to that the heaven-opposing dragon meridians were used for cultivation. The speed of their growth would be even more terrifying. W. A.N. G. Jeans. H.I. was just a little surprised, but she had heard from Feng Yujie that the time in Super G. O. D realm was different from the time in here. Where are the two wild girls? Chen Xiang asked. Mu Qianxiang and Ling Yulan were both his recognized sister, and they were both very aggressive and wild. Chen Xiang had not seen them for a long time. When he was at the Gods realm, they went out together to adventure, causing him to be worried for a while. After Chen Xiang finished asking, he suddenly felt two different auras, and when he reacted, Mu Qianxiang and Ling Yulan had already pounced over and hugged him. "Brother!" the two girls shouted sweetly. Ling Yulan and Mu Qianxiang were both wearing black tights. They were originally wearing masks, but now they have taken them off. Chen Xiang looked at their beautiful faces and laughed. "You 2D and girls, you have become so beautiful, I almost can't recognize you." Although Ling Yulan and Mu Qianxiang were both beauties, they were both beauties who would not care if they were buried alive. On numerous missions outside Genes, HI Plus had personally witnessed their brutality, and now that they were by Chen Xiang's side, they were as obedient as innocent and harmless lambs. Chen Xiang pinched their faces and laughed. "Back then, when I heard that the two of you went crazy together, I was extremely worried. Now that I see that both of you are fine, I can finally relax." Mu Qianxiang took out a large piece of meat and handed it over to Chen Xiang with difficulty. "Brother, we were roasting it just now, it was just done." Chen Xiang laughed and scolded. "Xiao Xiang, you're still the same. You're so delicious." Chen Xiang ate it up after taking a few bites, and praised the delicious grilled meat. Then they brought Chen Xiang and to the place where they started a barbecue. It seemed that Genes HI Plus had often carried out missions with them and was already used to Mu Qianxiang being a big foodie. Moreover, Ling Yulan and Mu Qianxiang had gotten along with each other for a long time, and had also learned how to eat. "How are you doing? Are you sure that place is the lair of the gates of HELL?" After Genes HI Plus ate a few pieces of meat, she started to talk about proper business. Chen Xiang remembered that she had been in a hurry before. Ling Yulan nodded. "No, but it's related to the gates of HELL. The fellow from the underworld gate whom we were following earlier entered that place, and he has yet to come out." Chen Xiang frowned. "You guys are in such a big commotion here, aren't you afraid of alarming them? And perhaps they have some kind of divine soul monitoring method?" "No, look at what's under the fire." Mu Qianxiang laughed. Ling Yulan blew some of the ashes off the fire, and it turned out to be an array disc. Although it was not very big, Chen Xiang could tell from the spirit grain above that this array disc was very powerful, but he did not know what its effects were. "We are inside a barrier created by an array disc. This is equivalent to a small SPAC and has been isolated from the outside world." Ling Yulan said, "I also want to refine a part of this." "Not bad, it's very rare for you to be able to calm your heart and forge artifacts with Menger," Chen Xiang praised. "She hasn't been in for a long time." Mu Qianxiang laughed. "She can't keep up with the pace of Xian and the others anymore." Ling Yulan was a little unlucky and replied, "It's just that I'm not very interested, which is why I'm gradually getting unfamiliar with them. If I wanted to, I just needed to focus on pondering for a while, then I would be able to keep up with elder sister Menger and the others." "Alright, I'll first sneak into the place you're talking about and take a look," Chen Xiang said. "We want to go as well. We can enter your ring." Ling Yulan said she had also entered before. Mu Qianxiang and Genes HI Plus both nodded their heads. They were also worried for Chen Xiang, after all, having more people as strength. After Chen Xiang let them enter the ring, he put away the formation plate and started to hide, heading in the direction they had pointed out. "What is this place?" Chen Xiang was not familiar with the Nine Heaven world at all. "A forest filled with dense evil qi. This place is very close to the devil-killing divine city." Genes HI Plus said, "The devil-killing divine city has been rebuilt, but because we were led by the Hell Devil Emperor to lead a large number of powerful demons to this place, this forest became like this. Chen Xiang turned into a black Bu T turfly. There were many of these Bu T turflies here, so they wouldn't be discovered easily. He arrived outside the cave, which Leng Yulan and the others discovered. There is a relatively profound barrier protecting it, and this stone door is also not easy to open. Chen Xiang flew around outside of the cave a few times. Although this mountain was not very tall, Chen Xiang could feel that there was a very terrifying amount of evil energy inside. Chen Xiang unleashed his Dao Heart Eye. All he saw was that the place in front of him was a light gray-colored mountain, and the only difference was that the mountain was pitch black in color. There is a large amount of evil energy inside this mountain, and it has been absorbed for a long time. I wonder what this evil energy is used for? Chen Xiang asked W. A.N.G. Jeans. H.I. Plus, who was inside the ring, senior sister, did a lot of strong evil spirits die in this place before? Yes, after you went to Supreme Divine Palace, it was broken. There were more than a dozen strong evil demons who wanted to take revenge on you, so a big battle happened. W. A.N.G. Jeans. H.I. Plus said, now that devil-killing Heavenly G. O. D has gone to 9 Heaven School, it is eldest senior brother who will take over. Junior brother, what do you think they're doing this for? Chen Xiang thought for a while, then said, they are setting up the array. Furthermore, there is more than one of them, the rest must be hiding at places far away from the devil-killing divine city. Seems like they have been planning on setting up this array for a long time. Devil-killing divine palace was the #1 threat to Hell Devil Emperor because that place restrained demons like them. If devil-killing divine palace was not destroyed, they would only need to face devil-killing divine palace in the future, and they would suffer a lot of losses. Leng Yulan and the others could not see what Chen Xiang was seeing, they could only feel that there was a dense amount of evil qi in the place, and did not see clearly how terrifying the place where the evil qi was gathering was. Chen Xiang said, if there's someone inside, I might be able to find out their real plan after entering. Leng Yulan said, the barrier is more powerful, even if we try to attack it would be difficult to break through, and it would be discovered by them. Brother, can you handle it yourself? Of course there's no problem. Don't look down on me, even though my current divine deity might not be as large as yours. Chen Xiang chuckled, and immediately unleashed the power of the spatial laws, crossing over the barrier easily. He easily entered the cave and turned into a wisp of black smoke, carefully floating above the cave to avoid being discovered. This cave was quickly reached its end, and there were no other entrances. Chen Xiang carefully observed his surroundings and discovered a square formation plate on the ground. Could it be underground? Chen Xiang immediately activated the Dao Heart Eye, looked down, and indeed, he saw a large amount of evil qi rust. Hi plus-ing down through the array disk. This formation plate was not used to transfer people in, but was placed here to speed up the absorption of demonic energy. Are you sure someone has entered this place? Chen Xiang said, I only saw a formation plate that absorbs all the evil qi, and there's nothing more. We saw it with our own eyes. Mu Qianxiang said with certainty. Chen Xiang felt that there was only one possibility, and that was for those people to turn into mist and be absorbed by the array disk into the place where the mysterious evil spirit qi was gathered. He was also in the form of a mist now, which allowed him to relax and enter the formation plate. Not long after, he arrived at a dark place. At this moment, he was still in the form of a black mist floating in the air. When he saw the scene before him, he couldn't help but be shocked. This was a huge underground stone room. In the middle of the room was a structure that looked like an altar, and on top of the altar was something that emitted a faint white light. This thing looked like a giant cock. And it seemed to be breathing. Chen Xiang used the Dao Heart Eye to take a look. something that absorbed a large amount of evil chi, was precisely this Cock-O-O-N-like thing. It was extremely terrifying, and the inside of it seemed to be nurturing a strong evil demon. Near the altar, there were many people dressed in black, their heads wrapped in black cloth. They didn't even have their eyes exposed, and were currently pouring a jar of blood into the ditches below the altar. There were a few ditches beneath the altar, all leading to the center of the altar. The Cock-O-O-N was absorbing the blood. Chen Xiang had said everything he had seen to Ling Yulan and the other two girls. They didn't know what he was doing. So what are you going to do now? There are 15 demons here, and they are not weak. Can you deal with them all? Why don't we come out and get rid of them together? Ling Yulan said. Not now. According to my observations, there are more than 15 of them, so this place should be extremely important to them. Whether it's the formation or the altar, they both took a lot of effort and precious materials to build it. Chen Xiang used the Dao Heart Eye to carefully look at the walls of the stone room. He discovered many doors, and inside these doors there was a ball of black mist. There are indeed people. They are all hiding in the stone rooms on the walls. Chen Xiang said, I guess they should be changing S.H.I plus FTS. Right now, Ling Yulan and the others could only wait for Chen Xiang to discover more of them. Just as Chen Xiang was waiting for them to change S.H.I plus FTS, a red light suddenly appeared beside the huge Cock-O-O-N on the altar. The other black-clothed people immediately went over and kowtowed. The person who suddenly came was dressed in a red robe and was wrapped up in a red mist. When the red mist gradually dispersed, the person who appeared was a middle-aged man. The person who suddenly came was dressed in a red robe and was wrapped up in a red mist. When the red mist gradually dispersed, the person who appeared was a middle-aged man. Isn't this guy Fire Divine Palace's Fire God? Chen Xiang recognized it. At that time, the Fire God was with the Hel Devil Emperor, and also the God of Fortune and the others. Chen Xiang told Ling Yulan and the others about this matter. These fellows have been colluding with the Hel Devil Emperor for a long time now. It's just that we haven't heard any news about them. W. A. N. G. Genes. Hi Plus said, the God of Fortune should be working with the Hel Devil Emperor and the rest, maybe even cultivating the demonic chi. This way of increasing is very fast. The Hel Devil Emperor has already cooked up a very mature method of cultivation. It will be completed in 20 days. The Fire God's voice became somewhat agitated. You will definitely become devil-killing Divine City's nightmare at that time. After hearing this, Chen Xiang was sure that they were targeting the devil-killing Divine City. After caressing the Cock-O-O-N, the Fire God turned into a red light. The other men in black continued working on their task. No one knew where they had gotten the blood from, but it had actually been poured for a long time. We have to destroy their plan. I wonder how many people they killed for this plan. Chen Xiang looked at the endless flow of blood into the altar, and his heart was filled with rage. 4 hours said, and the stone door on the wall suddenly opened. More than 10 black-clothed people walked out. They were the ones who took over the job, while the black-clothed men went into the stone rooms to rest. The moment the stone door opened, Chen Xiang immediately turned into black smoke and floated into one of them. He did not go in before because the people inside had almost recovered, so dealing with them would not be too difficult. At this time, the 15 black-clothed people were already very tired. Not only did they have to pour their blood in, they also needed to use their own demonic energy to help the Cock-O-O-N absorb and refine it. When Chen Xiang entered the stone room, he patiently waited. The door was already closed, and he would have to wait for the black-clothed person in the stone room to start resting before he could make a move. Not long after, the black-clothed man fell into a deep sleep, absorbing the evil energy absorbed by the outside to recover. Chen Xiang made his move right now, and directly used the soul-absorbing devil spell, conducting a mental attack, and after breaking the other party's divine sense seized defense. His power directly entered the other party's soul to steal the memories. When his memory worked, he immediately put the black-clothed man into the Six Realms mirrors, and then activated the killing array inside the Six Realms mirrors to kill the black-clothed man. Outside the devil-killing divine city, there are actually 10 of these things. Chen Xiang was shocked. These things were created using a secret method left behind by an ancient evil demon. They are extremely scary demonic insects that can release the demonic poison. Besides the evil poison, how strong is he? W. A. N. G. Genes. H.I. Plus asked. It should be very strong because I don't know where H.E.L. Devil Emperor got the bug eggs from, but they are said to be very ancient. Maybe Yue knows about it. Chen Xiang did not ask Yue to follow him. Because he had Yue with him, it would be difficult for him to turn into her. Is there any way to deal with it? W. A. N. G. Genes. H.I. Plus was very concerned because this posed a threat to the devil-killing divine city. Yes. Chen Xiang took out a grain of sand and said, I just need to put this thing into the cock. And detonate it at a certain time. This was a small pill refined by Chen Xiang. It could produce explosions. This was a stone that he had refined with a type of extremely strong explosive power, and was also the stone of the mountain where Long Xue's remnant soul was hidden. After Chen Xiang left the stone room and floated outside, he used his spatial energy to place the small pill into the cock. It was not very deep, but it was very shallow outside and would be hard to find. I still need to go to other places to finish it. That guy just went to other places, I know the way. Chen Xiang floated near an array disk, and was pulled out from the array disk. The eggs of these evil worms were all outside of devil-killing divine city. Chen Xiang spent half a day before he finally finished placing all the small particles into the cock. Before I detonate, I need to notify the devil-killing divine city to prepare, because this is a huge loss for them. I'm worried that they might attack the devil-killing divine city because of this. Chen Xiang said to W. A. N. G. Genes. H.I. Plus. W. A. N. G. Genes. H.I. Plus came out of the ring, used the communication jade symbol paper to transmit the situation to devil-killing divine city, and then laughed. Thank you, junior brother. Although your cultivation is not high, you are still the same, with many good methods. W. A. N. G. Genes. H.I. Plus S. Jade Talisman trembled, and someone sent a message to her. After she read the information inside, she said, Big Senior and the rest have long made their preparations. He said that they had also detected some H.E.L. Devil Emperor people moving around nearby. Chen Xiang nodded and said, Then let's move a little further away and ignite it. Ling Yulan and Mu Qianxiang also ran out from the ring. They wanted to see what would happen after the explosion. W. A. N. G. Genes. H.I. Plus took out an array disk with the 3 of them standing on top of it. All 10 small granules contained a trace of Chen Xiang's divine soul that he had left inside, and with just a thought, he would be able to detonate them. It's begun. After Chen Xiang let out a chuckle, the earth suddenly shook, and fled rumbling sounds came from afar. They were currently quite a distance away from the nearest insect egg, but for there to be such a commotion, it showed just how terrifying of a power was hidden within. Look! Ling Yulan pointed to the sky in front of him, and under the setting sun, a burst of black qi rose up. Chen Xiang had ignited the insect egg, causing the energy condensed within the egg to gush out. The people inside the devil-killing divine city could feel the rumbling and trembling from all directions just now. The 10 bug eggs surrounded the devil-killing divine city, so the devil-killing divine city could clearly feel the aftermath of the explosion. After the explosion, W. A. N. G. Genes. HI Plus activated the array disk and returned to the little village. LV Chilian was in the villa, so when WANG Jeans, HI Plus and the others went there, they immediately told her about the evil worms. After Yue heard it, she spoke with a hint of shock. How did this guy obtain those bug eggs? This thing is extremely terrifying. Once it is born, it will be dangerous. Tell me about it. LV Chilian frowned. Maybe they still have more, we have to prepare for the worst. Chen Xiang had thought that Yue might have known about it before, because the insect egg was from the ancient times. It should have been from an earlier world, similar to the Star Law Divine Realm. Yue did indeed know, and seemed to understand it quite well. Ling Yulan and Mu Qianxiang looked indifferent. They had no concept of what it was, so they were naturally not afraid of it, but WENG Jeans.H.I Plus and Chen Xiang had serious expressions, and LV Chilian's expression was filled with seriousness. She already understood Yue better, whether Yue was from the Star Law Divine Realm, or a strong law enforcer. Ling Yulan and Mu Qianxiang looked indifferent. They had no concept of what it was, so they were naturally not afraid of it, but WANG Jeans. HI Plus and Chen Xiang had serious expressions, and LV Chilian's expression was filled with seriousness. She already understood Yue better, whether Yue was from the Star Law Divine Realm, or a strong law enforcer. Yue flew to a table, took a sip of the juice in the cup, and said, "You should already know that I am from Star Law Divine Realm, right? There are many days and months outside of the distant starry sky, similar to this place, only that your current 9-heaven world has not grown to the point where I can break through my limitations and enter the distant astral plane. If only we could annex the Super G.O.D. realm. In the distant starry sky, other than the fact that our Star Law Divine Realm is a powerful and prosperous world, there are a few other stronger ones, and one of them is called the world of the giant Gods. They are all giant and giant beasts, and they are all very powerful, but this world has been destroyed by a type of bug." Yue took a deep breath. Later on, because these bugs couldn't move for a long distance and couldn't find food, they died in the giant G.O.D. world. According to your description, those eggs were from those bugs, and I don't know who brought them here. Long Shui asked. How is the comparison of the gigantic divine world compared to your Star Law Divine Realm? Yue thought for a moment and said, It's hard to say. I heard from the elders in the clan that they are all similar. I heard from the elders in the clan that those bugs were born in the world of giant Gods, so they were initially ignored. That insect's reproduction speed is very scary, and the stronger the bug is, the stronger the eggs it gives birth to, and the stronger its destructive power from birth. Moonchild said, Legend has it that the powerhouses of the Titan world could only retreat against the bug's emperor. The majority of the giants are only able to survive after fleeing into the starry sky. I will make a trip to the 9-heaven school to let them pay attention to this. Chen Xiang, don't stay idle. LV Chilian had already understood from Yue that Super G.O.D. realm was different in terms of time compared to the people here, which resulted in Chen Xiang having less time compared to the people here. Xian and the others are refining powerful array disks. They won't come out for a while. Go and cultivate first, since they are all here, you will see them sooner or later. Long Shui knew that Chen Xiang really wanted to see Xian and the others, so he asked. Yue said, I'll accompany you in your cultivation. Your situation is rather complicated, so maybe I can give you some advice when the time comes so that you won't take the wrong path. Chen Xiang nodded. He also wanted to condense his third divine deity and become a G.O.D. He realized that the girls here all had at least a few divine deity. If he didn't increase them quickly, they might laugh at him in the future. In this villa, there was a transmission array that could be teleported deep into the ground. Chen Xiang used a transmission array to teleport to a secret room that was completely surrounded by white. This is the energy inside the dragon vein. These are the crystals formed by the dragon vein. Chen Xiang was extremely familiar with this type of energy and could immediately recognize it. I'll be able to condense the third divine deity very soon. I've already cultivated it for a long time already. Chen Xiang laughed. You are also quite eccentric. With only 2 divine deity, your body should have already cultivated 2 bones. With your current strength, you should be able to compete with 5 or 6 GODS with divine deity. Yue said. However, it's still better for you to condense more divine deity. It can strengthen your divine power, and your bones combined with the powerful divine power will have a better effect. Chen Xiang nodded, and took out some divine deity that he had obtained earlier. He planned to refine these divine deity into a pellet. Yue, if you can cultivate 10 divine deity, doesn't that mean you can have 10 types of innate abilities? If it's 100 GODS level, then it's 100. Chen Xiang asked. Of course not. Generally speaking, most people specialize in several types of innate divine abilities. Otherwise, they would master too many divine abilities. However, the power of these divine abilities are too weak and the power of their divine abilities aren't enough. Chen Xiang asked again, weren't you able to use your innate ability uncontrollably? The power of the so-called ability was the power contained within the divine deity that corresponded to the innate ability. You can control these 3 innate abilities if you cultivate them, but all you need is your divine deity. In the future, if you feel that you need any innate abilities, you can just cultivate them again. Yue said. Chen Xiang's first divine ability was the world creation flame, which gave him a lot of help in refining pills. His second was the celestial phenomenon art, which he had learnt while cultivating the heavenly spirit Kunfu, which gave him a very strong defensive power. He rarely used it, so the combination of the celestial phenomenon art and the profound Wu clothing made his defenses very strong. As for the third innate ability, he wanted to cultivate it to be related to the use of spatial energy. You should be more familiar with the usage of spatial energy compared to me. My third innate ability is related to cultivating spatial energy. How can I cultivate it? Chen Xiang didn't have any spatial cultivation technique. The heavenly elephant divine ability that he had previously cultivated was something that he had learnt from cultivating his heavenly body's divine ability. Then when you condense the third divine deity, you will need to use spatial power to do so. Yue said. Using the power of S.P.A.C. to condense divine deity, what should we do? Chen Xiang felt that even if he used the heavenly alchemy, it would be rather difficult. Cultivation method. Don't you have a cultivation method for cultivating the power of S.P.A.C.? Yue replied. As long as you follow the cultivation technique, it'll be fine. Chen Xiang said. I normally cultivate using the heavenly alchemy, but right now I haven't found the spatial energy within the heavenly alchemy. I don't have any spatial energy cultivation method. Yue was extremely surprised. She had just casually said it, but did not expect Chen Xiang to really do it. All right, I'll pass my cultivation technique to you. Yue flew to the top of Chen Xiang's head and began transferring technique. I want to enter your divine sense C. Chen Xiang nodded, relaxed, and allowed Yue to enter his divine sense C, directly sing down techniques to his soul. After Yue entered Chen Xiang's divine sense C, she found it extremely interesting. Your divine sense C is really simple, just ordinary. Then what about your divine sense C? I really want to take a look. Chen Xiang said with a smile. He had also understood that many people's divine sense C was full of whims and fantasies, but LV Qilian's was a sea of flowers. Even the sun, moon and stars were all flowers. When he went in earlier, he was also shocked. It's a secret. Yue giggled. It's my secret that my divine sense C world can't be revealed to others. After Yue entered Chen Xiang's divine sense C, She had actually turned into a beautiful young lady in white. When she saw Chen Xiang's spirit staring at her, her cheeks flushed red. Star S.H.I plus FT Star S. Hi plus FT. This was the first time Yue revealed her true form in front of Chen Xiang, but she could only do it within the divine sense C. Better than I thought. Chen Xiang laughed, and reached out his hand to pinch Yue's little face habitually. Then what do you think I am? Did you think that I was ugly? Yue giggled as she placed her hand on Chen Xiang's forehead. At this time, Yue and Chen Xiang's divine souls were at the SHORE of the small island, and Yue had said down the spatial cultivation method to her, to Chen Xiang. If it's not ugly, then so be it. It's just that it's a bit unexpected. You'll be even more beautiful than I imagined. Chen Xiang opened his eyes wide again as he admired Yue, who looked like a young girl. Yue coquettishly replied, "Such a sweet mouth. No wonder you could deceive so many women." Chen Xiang laughed mischievously. Yue's spatial technique had already entered his divine sense C. She was called Star S. Hi plus FTing technique. Listening to her name made him feel like she could move stars. My grandfather gave it to me. My grandfather said that even my father does not know of this technique, and only the power of SPAC can be trained in it. As for you, since you control the power of SPAC, then you are more suited to it. Yue said. Then can we really move the stars? Chen Xiang asked. I heard my grandfather said that this cultivation technique was developed by a spiritual planet. After that, Xing Chen grasped this cultivation technique. He moved around everywhere in the starry sky, specifically to cultivate in places with dense energy. As time passed, he would turn into his human form and become one of the ancestors of our star-moon divine race. According to legends, there are 10 ancestors of our star-moon divine race, all of whom are astral Cheng-Ren or beasts of the beast race. They then formed the star-moon divine race. Yue said. This kind of thing sounded mysterious, but Chen Xiang believed that the Shui Bingyan he was most familiar with was also from a spirit body, and it took a long time for him to learn. Yue quickly said down the star Hi plus FTing technique to Chen Xiang, and she immediately left Chen Xiang's divine sense C, causing him to feel a little regretful. He had originally wanted to tease Yue. Chen Xiang looked at Yue, and suddenly felt that it was not bad that she was a little kitten. Start your cultivation. Your third divine soul has already been condensed and is still missing the third divine deity. Yue could sense it just by entering Chen Xiang's divine sense C. Chen Xiang nodded his head and started to absorb the energy from the dragon vein. He circulated his star Hi plus FTing technique and started to condense the third divine deity. Because Yue was the one who said down the techniques to him from the soul, Yue's understanding of the technique could be obtained as well, just like how he had said down the heavenly alchemy to Hua Xiang Yue previously. In order to increase his speed, he had even coordinated with the heavenly alchemy to use it. This was because he still had to refine the energy in his body to absorb it, and then condense it into spatial force through star Hi plus FTing technique after that. In front of him, he could use the heavenly alchemy to refine the energy he absorbed, and once the energy was refined into the 6 realms power, he could directly use the star Hi plus FTing technique to condense the power of SPAC, gathering it at the location of the third soul. As long as he gathered enough SPAC energy, the condensed divine deity would be related to the power of SPAC. After cultivating for half a day, he felt that his cultivation speed was not fast enough, so he took out the divine deity he had obtained before and used the heavenly alchemy to refine these divine deity into a pellet. This should be faster. Chen Xiang swallowed a few of these pellets in one gulp. He had the heavenly alchemy, so his refining speed was extremely fast. Yue watched from the corner of the stone room and was extremely shocked. Chen Xiang had consumed a large amount of pills refined from divine deity and was now cultivating inside the dragon vein, absorbing a large amount of energy from the dragon vein. In her eyes, Chen Xiang was like a bottomless pit, as if there wasn't even enough energy to fill him up. 2 months pass. Said by, Chen Xiang continuously cultivated for 2 months, and even refined all of his divine deity into pellets. That was how he managed to condense the third divine deity. How is it? Yue hurriedly asked. For the past 2 months, she had been waiting patiently. After all, it was very boring. My third divine deity can directly convert the 6 realms' power into spatial energy, and in the future, the spatial energy I use will be even more formidable. Chen Xiang said. This ability should be the star S. Hi plus foot. When he condensed the third divine deity, his divine sense C also became a lot larger, and the third divine deity should appear as well, so the quality of his whole body should have increased a lot. If his divine sense C had more than 10 divine deity, then the power of his divine sense C would be even more terrifying. It should be soon. Chen Xiang said. This time, he must have used a lot of time to condense the third divine deity, even though he couldn't feel it. 2 months. Yue said. Something must have happened outside. I already said before that L Devil Emperor was going to attack 9 Heaven School. I think it's about to start. Chen Xiang nodded his head. It is possible that they will advance the plan, because I have destroyed the primordial evil worm's plan. They will definitely become angry from Embark. Meant, and now I am just worried that they still have those ancient evil worms. I previously heard from the memories of those people that the eggs were refined by the L Devil Emperor. I wonder what kind of tricks he had used on those eggs. Yue was also worried about this. Those demonic insects' reproduction speed was extremely fast, and the number of eggs they could lay was enormous. If someone really did obtain them, they would definitely obtain a lot. There was a door in this stone room. Upon entering, one could see a transmission array. Chen Xiang and Yue were teleported to the top through this transmission array. Arriving at the top, only then did Chen Xiang see that the little village became bustling with activity. He could see many beautiful women, but they were all in a hurry, as if they were busy with something. Shui! Seeing Long Shui flying above, Chen Xiang anxiously shouted. When Long Shui saw Chen Xiang, he immediately descended. You're finally out, the battle has started. The 9 Heaven School was led by the L Devil Emperor and attacked. The 9 Heaven School is extremely important. We definitely cannot let the L Devil Emperor get them, so we have to go and help now. Sister Qilian said that she was worried that the L Devil Emperor would attack us too, so we have to prepare for it. This place had a dragon vein. The dragon vein contained an endless amount of energy, and the array disk could absorb this energy to maintain and operate. If the spirit grain in the array was very profound and strong, then the defensive array would also be very terrifying. The ninefold SPACS refined by the spirit grain used by the heavenly divine palace, and even those from the divine Yenjing were helpless. It could be seen how terrifying they were. The hexagonal disk in Yuer's hands, which was also known as Star Moon HELL, was also refined using profound spirit grain. The spirit grain in the divine book that Lu Menger and the others got was PAS, said down from the 9 divine kings, and the 9 divine kings got it from the heavenly divine palace. Yuer, you stay here with Bingyan. I will make a trip to 9 Heaven School. Chen Xiang said. Through the transmission array, Chen Xiang was directly teleported to the 9 Heaven City. Although he did not see Shui Xianxian, Hua Xiangyue and the others, Chen Xiang was not in a rush. They were all rather busy, and when this big battle broke out, they urgently needed pills and array discs, as well as a large number of divine weapons. Possession of these things was equivalent to having a few more lives. It was extremely important. Through the transmission array, Chen Xiang was directly teleported to the Nine Heaven City. Although he did not see Shui Xianxian, Hua Xiangyue and the others, Chen Xiang was not in a rush. They were all rather busy, and when this big battle broke out, they urgently needed pills and array discs, as well as a large number of divine weapons. Possession of these things was equivalent to having a few more lives. It was extremely important. When Chen Xiang arrived at the Nine Heaven City, he discovered that waves of evil spirits were coming from outside. With a glance, he knew that the devil army had arrived, and that there were quite a few of them. What surprised him was that the great demon army was outside the city, but the huge Nine Heaven City was not in a mess. The transmission array here was already closed, and could not be transferred in case evil beings snuck in, but they could be teleported out. But there were still many people inside the Nine Heaven City, and the number of people inside did not decrease. It could only mean that the people inside had a lot of trust in the Nine Heaven City, and believed that the Nine Heaven City would not be defeated by the demons. Many of them even planned to go out to fight, and helped the Nine Heaven City repel the demons, which could be because many warriors could earn Xin Yuan Stone S, and with the size of the city, many shops were rented, and those who could afford to live were not ordinary people. If the divine city was destroyed, their shops would definitely be affected, and this affected their business, so of course they would have to go out and fight. When Chen Xiang came to the city lord's mansion, the last time he saw Wu Kaming, he had obtained a jade tablet that allowed him to enter and exit freely. When he entered one of the halls in the city lord's mansion, he immediately saw a familiar face. Little Knife, Old Pig. Chen Xiang was pleasantly surprised. Elder brother Chen Xiang. Yun Xiaodao and Zhu Rong were excited to see Chen Xiang too. After so many years, they finally met their good friend from back then. Yun Xiaodao was no longer as childish as he was back then. He had become mature and steady, and also became a lot taller. Furthermore, his strength was very strong as well, to the point where he had 5 divine deities. Zhu Rong was the same, plump and harmless fatty. He looked like he had no fighting strength, but his strength was not weak either. Just like Yun Xiaodao, he had 5 divine deity. Old Pig, I didn't expect your cultivation to be the same as Xiaodao's. Remember that he Serpa S said you in the past. Chen Xiang laughed. When can you remember better than me? Other than his eloquent mouth, how can he compare to me in other aspects? Zhu Rong laughed and said. Yun Xiaodao scoffed, Old Pig, you lost to me last time. You should know when to boast, don't boast too much. Zhu Rong laughed. I deliberately lost to you on purpose. Who told your wife to be so powerful? Every time I win against you, she would scold me endlessly. I purposely lost to you because of her. Are you saying that I won against you because I relied on my wife? Yun Xiaodao was very unwilling to accept this. You said so yourself. Zhu Rong laughed, looking like he deserved a slap. Chen Xiang could not help but smile. Although so many years had passed, they were still the same as before, constantly bickering over small matters. Alright, let's get down to business. Where did the little baldy go? Chen Xiang did not see Wu Kaming. He went to the Nine Heaven School. We are in charge of this place, because the people that came to attack the city are all shrimp soldiers and crab generals. The Nine Heaven School is the best. Yun Xiaodao didn't seem to be slow, because he felt that there wasn't much of a challenge in dealing with this little thing. The timid Zhu Rong, on the other hand, was the opposite. He laughed. That's right, we can easily settle this here. Chen Xiang, if you come, it will be even easier. Zhu Rong now felt that he didn't even need to fight anymore. He knew that Chen Xiang was definitely very strong. I'm sorry, I only have 3 divine deities right now. Chen Xiang purposely smiled bitterly. I was still trying my best, and only managed to cultivate the 3rd divine deity. The place I was previously at has a different time zone compared to your place. However, he still smiled. It's all right, I won't look down on you. But little Yun is different, he must be overjoyed, because he feels that he has two more divine deities than you and he can overturn you with one hand. Qin Xiang scolded jokingly. Old pig, this might be what you're thinking in your heart. From what I see, the one feeling overflowing with joy should be you. Yun Xiaodao also laughed. Fatty, don't think that elder brother Shun is as stupid as you and wouldn't be able to see through your dirty thoughts. Zhu Rong chuckled. Of course not. Good, we have to formulate a plan to deal with those evil demons, although the Nine Heaven City has a big array to resist, but those evil demons are constantly attacking the city, making people's hearts in panic. Chen Xiang said, There's only the two of you. Of course not, just the two of them alone won't be able to complete the mission. He was dressed in gray tattered clothes and his face was full of beard, but Chen Xiang could still recognize him. Intestines. This person was Duan Sanchong, the little grave robber. There are no tombs here for you to dig. Zhu Rong curled his lips. I don't have a grave to dig, but I can dig a big one for those demons. Duan Sanchong chuckled, came to Chen Xiang's side and patted his arm. Good fellow, you don't look weak. Although you have 3 divine deities, according to your usual explosive strength, your strength should be at least 5 or even 6. Chen Xiang laughed out loud. The tomb-robbing eye is the best. At this time, another person walked in. Although he was handsome, his eyes were slanted, and it was XV Weilong. Blinded dragon, you've been thrown over as well. Zhu Rong laughed. It's good that you came, that way I won't have to fight anymore. XV Weilong gave Chen Xiang a stiff smile, looked at his left arm and said, Did I cultivate out bones? I ate a few pieces of bone-level Dan, but I didn't manage to cultivate them. Chen Xiang only smiled without saying a word. Yun Xiaodao said, Every one of us ate a few pills, but we did not manage to cultivate them. Leader said that we do not have the chance yet, so we will not take the opportunity to start training in bones. Chen Xiang felt that his bone-level Dan should be pretty good. Previously, Shui Bingyan had only eaten a few pills to cultivate to the first bones, but Yun Xiaodao and the others had already eaten a few, but they did not. However, the leader has been successfully cultivated. It seems that he only ate 3 pills. Duan Sanchong replied, He has the strength of a God or above, it's easier to cultivate. This BASTARD is really amazing. He became a God so quickly. Chen Xiang sighed at himself for running to Super God realm and then running back, missing too much time. Back then he was even stronger than Gu Dongchen. Yun Xiaodao said seriously, Elder brother Shun, you are the amazing one, you can even refine bone-level Dan. Zhu Rong and the others all agreed with him. So what if he had 3 divine deity? As long as he could refine a high-level pellet, it would suffice. The bone-level Dan that the 9 Heaven School obtained were all refined by Feng Yujie, Hua Xiangyue and the others. They provided the 9 Heaven School with bone-level Dan and exchanged it for a lot of resources. The size of the 9 Heaven School was very big, they could easily obtain them for them. The bone-level Dan that the 9 Heaven School obtained were all refined by Feng Yujie, Hua Xiangyue and the others. They provided the 9 Heaven School with bone-level Dan and exchanged it for a lot of resources. The size of the 9 Heaven School was very big, they could easily obtain them for them. The 9 Heaven School knew that had refined the bone-level Dan first, and that the relations Hi+P between Chen Xiang and the big boss of the 9 Heaven School was very good. Even leader Gu Dongchen had to call Chen Xiang Junior Master, and it was because of this that LV Qilian and the others would provide the bone-level Dan to the 9 Heaven School, allowing it to become stronger. Chen Xiang, you don't need to do anything this time, we can handle this. XV Weilong said very seriously. Let's see. Was it really that easy here? I feel that something is amiss. You guys should know that devil-killing Divine City was ambushed previously, you guys should know about this. It is hard to say whether the H.E.L. Devil Emperor has attacked near this divine city. Chen Xiang also had a serious face. The insect eggs near the devil-killing divine city were not simple objects. He had never checked around Nine Heaven City before, and did not know if there were any, but he knew that there were patrols around Nine Heaven City, and it was unlike the devil-killing divine city where there was a large amount of evil spirit force to cultivate bug eggs. I heard that back then, because of this incident, the Fire God, who was in charge of this matter at HELL Devil Emperor, became angry out of Embark, meant and threatened to turn devil-killing divine city into HELL. XV Weilong nodded. Chen Xiang was about to speak, but his entire body suddenly tensed up as he looked at a corner in the hall with a face full of vigilance. There was actually someone here. Zhu Rong and the others also jumped up from their seats, and when they looked towards the direction that Chen Xiang was looking at, they could hear the sound of giggling. Chen Xiang is still the best, to be able to find out that I was here, although the few of you guys have more divine deity than Chen Xiang, but your reactions were so slow. If I had attacked you guys just now, you would all have been done for it. The person who appeared was a cute girl wearing a blue skirt. Her small and beautiful oval face was filled with a mischievous smile. Lan Lan. Chen Xiang was extremely happy. She anxiously walked forward and pinched her cute little face. Lan Lan, you have not grown up yet, for so many years, you are still a little girl. Lan Lan was not convinced. He puffed out her full chest and said, I am just a little short with a baby face. I am already an adult. The relations Hi+P between Chen Xiang and Lan Lan was extremely good. Back then, they had experienced danger together and were good friends. Although Lan Lan was older than him, he still treated Chen Xiang as a big brother. Just now, Lan Lan had used her extremely unique inherent skill. She could make herself invisible, and the reason why Chen Xiang fought against her in the past was because she had hidden herself and beaten him up. That cat girl should also be here, right? Yun Xiaodao suddenly trembled as he looked around. Every time we meet again after a long time, the two of you always like to scare others. Her body was extremely tough. Back then, Chen Xiang had beaten her up, but she was fine. She was as agile as a cat, and when she attacked, she liked to use cat claws. Chen Xiang had also interacted with her for a period of time, and had experienced a lot of things. She was taught by the White Tiger later on because she was a rare 9 lives demon cat. Yan Yanran was a very charming beauty. When Chen Xiang first met her, he was enchanted by her seductive charm. Lan Lan chuckled. She's already here, let's see who can find her. Chen Xiang released his spatial sensory domain, but did not discover anyone else present. He pinched Lan Lan's face. Lan Lan, don't tease us on purpose. Yun Xiaodao also said, Little B, A-S-T, A-R-D, are you lying to us? The cat girl isn't here, right? She's purposely messing with us. Zhu Rong laughed. If even Chen Xiang did not realize it, then this must be a lie. She isn't here from the start. Lan Lan laughed. Old pig, do you want to take a gamble? If he wants to bet with Chen Xiang, he said that the cat girl isn't here. Zhu Rong would never bet with an acquaintance. He would be laughed at if he lost for a while. Duan Sanchong also confirmed the change and said, Based on my many years of experience, there shouldn't be anyone hiding here. The cat girl is definitely not here. Are you sure? Do you dare to bet? Lan Lan said with a smile. Although his smile was very sweet and looked very cute, it still gave off a very cunning feeling. Nope. Duan Sanchong only believed in his own scouting methods, but back then in the dragon subduing school, they had worked together with Yan Yanran for a period of time. At that time, Yan Yanran was extremely terrifying and he trained extremely hard, to the point where even the few men present were unable to catch up. After the dragon subduing school was disbanded, Yan Yanran and Lan Lan, who were like sisters, traveled all over the place. It was only after many years did they finally see Lan Lan. After using the Dao Heart Eye, He could see the flow of all sorts of elemental energy in this hall. Originally, it was distributed fairly evenly, but right now it was a little chaotic. I saw her. Chen Xiang smiled slightly as he reached out his hand and gently touched a spot next to Lan Lan. He saw that in a flash, a charming woman wearing a red dress appeared. You're still so powerful, how did you discover me? I can use this method to hide from the elders and leaders. Yen Yenran asked with that gentle voice. She looked at Chen Xiang with her charming, silky eyes, her eyelashes flickered slightly, as though she was trying to hook Chen Xiang's soul. Chen Xiang had touched her beautiful face just now, and he did not move away yet. He gently touched her face and laughed. It's just because you smell too good, I'm very familiar with the smell of your body. I'm afraid that Chen Xiang is the only one who can deal with this cat girl. Zhu Rong said softly. Yun Xiaodao quickly distanced himself from him, worried that Yen Yenran would attack him head-on. Yen Yenran obviously didn't believe Chen Xiang's nonsense, but she didn't ask too much. She only glanced at Chen Xiang with autumn waves in her eyes, and gave him an intoxicating look of gentleness. You have been to the Nine Heavens School? Elder Wu asked you to come? XV Weilong asked. Back then, when the Dragon Subduing School was still around, Yen Yenran and Lan Lan were specifically responsible for gathering information and occasionally did some assassination missions. They had all done very well, and now that Wu Kaming had asked them to come, it was probably because he wanted them to do something. Yes. He and your leader will be coming soon. Yen Yenran nodded his head, walked to the door, looked at the gray evil chi in the sky outside the city, and sighed. Nine Heavens City and Nine Heavens School face the same danger. Yes. He and your leader will be coming soon. Yen Yenran nodded his head, walked to the door, looked at the gray evil chi in the sky outside the city, and sighed. Nine Heavens City and Nine Heavens School face the same danger. The expressions of Yun Xiaodao and the others changed. If Gu Dongchen and the others were to come personally, then this matter must be very serious. Oh yeah, did you say your leader, just now? Don't the two of you plan to enter the Nine Heavens School? Zhu Rong asked. We have already joined the Hundreds of Flowers village. Lan Lan laughed. But you can rest assured, now we are here to help you, our village chief will also come. Initially, LV Qilian was very ambitious. She said that she wanted to establish a divine nation. However, her strength was limited now, so she only claimed that she was a village. However, she had developed secretly quickly, and with her dragon fountain, she would definitely become stronger and stronger in the future. Alright, since we are all in the same group, your village chief's parents are all in our Nine Heavens School. Yun Xiaodao said. That Grandma LV is too scary, her two daughters are the same. Zhu Rong suddenly I plus Vered. The last time I went to look for her, I only smelled a plate of fruits on her table and almost took my life. Devil-suppressing heavenly venerable LV Zhen and Grandma LV Worse and his parents, and they were currently in the Nine Heavens School as well. After all, the devil-killing heavenly G.O. D was there as well, and Elvesian could be considered his disciple. Luckily you didn't eat it, otherwise I would never see you again, U-B-A-S-T-A-R-D, Yun Xiaodao laughed. XV Weilong asked, do you all know the situation outside the city? Didn't you say that the Nine Heavens City was very relaxed? Why are you suddenly paying attention to this? What exactly is the danger? Yen Yenran said, I'm not too clear either, I just heard from Martial Elder that there are some bugs. After Chen Xiang heard it, he took a deep breath abruptly. This is troublesome, H-E-L Devil Emperor really did let this scary thing be born here. I hope it doesn't end up in a miserable state. Because Chen Xiang had heard Yuer talk about the giant God world being destroyed by the evil worms, he knew about the dangers of those bugs. Is it really that scary? Yun Xiaodao asked. Chen Xiang nodded his head. It should be, but the initial stages are easy to deal with. If it's later, then I'll be in trouble. I have to go back and prepare. Yun Xiaodao said. When I went back to get some good equipment, I thought it was just a small matter. Zhu Rong laughed. I also need to prepare, go eat a good meal. Afterwards, the two enemies left at the same time. Duan Sanchong and XV Weilong returned to rest and wait for further news. When did you join the Hundreds of Flowers village? Why didn't I see you guys inside? Chen Xiang touched the pair of translucent wings that Lan Lan released. They joined very early on. It was Sister Qilian who found us. We were also in the village often, but we just happened to have some matters to attend to. Yan Yanran chuckled. Little scoundrel, I didn't think that you would have so many bad things that no one knows about. Chen Xiang laughed. Don't speak nonsense, this little naughty dragon is discrediting me everywhere. Lan Lan laughed. I actually think that you, elder brother Shun, are very powerful. Those powerful older sisters all seem to have a good relations. Hi+P with you. Chen Xiang laughed. Aren't you guys on good terms with me too? Yan Yanran and Lan Lan were both very clear that the reason the outstanding women in the Hundreds of Flowers village were able to gather together was mostly because of Chen Xiang, and why they were able to become so strong was also because they needed Chen Xiang's help. We are going back. Sister Qilian said that she will be here soon. Yan Yanran said. Return to the Hundreds of Flowers village? Chen Xiang asked. Of course not. We have a shop here, and 100 Flowers Pavilion is our shop. Do you want to take a look? If Sister Qilian comes, she will also be sent to the secret teleportation room of 100 Flowers Pavilion. Yan Yanran said. Let's go. Chen Xiang followed Lan Lan and Yan Yanran as they left the city lord's mansion, and soon arrived at the 100 Flowers Pavilion. The size of the 100 Flowers Pavilion was extremely large, with over a dozen large pavilions and more than 10 stories tall. Here, not only were pills sold, but there were also divine weapons and magical equipment. There were even array discs here. Business is not bad. Chen Xiang followed them to a guest hall. This should be their private place. It was very quiet and cozy. The hall was filled with a faint female body scent. Sister Violet Orchid must have been here often. Chen Xiang could feel it from the remaining fragrance in the air. Dog nose. Lan Lan laughed. Did you really sniff out Big Sister Yanran's scent? Yan Yanran poured Chen Xiang a cup of tea and was extremely curious. Definitely not, I've already hidden my smell. Chen Xiang took a sip of that fragrant tea and laughed. That was what I saw with my own eyes. I had seen all the various types of gaseous energies in the hall at that time, and only the divine energy that was flowing around where you were standing wasn't natural enough. Your method of concealment should be through invisibility and the release of divine energy from your body. This way, you will be able to blend into nature and it will be difficult to discover you. Chen Xiang said. Not bad, your mind's eye is really powerful. You can actually see it. Yan Yanran had also gained a lot. Although not many people would be able to use Dao Heart Eye in the future to improve herself, she had to pursue perfection. If I wasn't a little more careful, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to discover you. Your ability to conceal yourself is already very strong. Chen Xiang said, if you can increase your spatial power, isolating yourself from SPAC, then you'll be able to conceal yourself very well. Using the power of SPAC is easier said than done? I've tried. Although I can use it, I can't use it freely. Yan Yanran shook his head and sighed. You will in the future. When you return to the Hundreds of Flowers village, find you heir and she will teach you. She is very proficient in this aspect. Chen Xiang laughed. Furthermore, you are all cats, we will definitely get along well. Yes, I heard Sister Feng talk about you heir. Yan Yanran nodded. Cute little white cat, I really want to go back and see her. Lan Lan really wanted to return right now. Seeing her expression, Chen Xiang laughed. You are also very cute, you big elf. Now that a group of little elves from Hundreds of Flowers village have wings like yours, you can go back and play with them. Yen Xilan, who was wearing a white dress, suddenly walked in and saw Chen Xiang and the others chatting. Sister Zilan, you don't look nervous either. Lan Lan walked over, held her jade hand and asked, "What is the situation outside? Is it serious?" "Don't worry, the defensive power of the formations on the Nine Heaven City is very strong, and with the support of the dragon veins, they can at least hold on for over 100 years. Those group of devil army do not have enough resources, so they will not last long." Yen Xilan looked at Qin Xiang, and this matter was the latest discovery of Qin Xiang's. After Yue told everyone about the origins of the evil worms, she had already spread them around, telling everyone to pay attention. LV Qilian came over, and the moment she entered the shop, Qin Xiang immediately felt her qi. She seemed to be in a hurry as soon as she entered the store. LV Qilian came over, and the moment she entered the shop, Qin Xiang immediately felt her qi. She seemed to be in a hurry as soon as she entered the store. "You're here too," LV Qilian said the moment he saw Qin Xiang. "Sister Qilian, is there something important? You look like you're in a hurry." Qin Xiang felt that LV Qilian seemed to have something very urgent to do, and furthermore, he seemed to be rather happy that he had appeared here. LV Qilian nodded his head and said, "Right now, we already have information on those evil insects. The information we have gathered is that the evil insects all have a queen, and this queen has only recently nurtured it for a short period of time. Furthermore, a large number of evil insect eggs will be born every day, just like ants and bees." "So how many bugs are there now?" Yen Xilan asked anxiously. If there was a large group of evil insects, then it would be hard to imagine. "I only found 5, it's not easy for H.E.L. Devil Emperor to cultivate these 5 bugs. Previously, there were 10 outside of devil-killing Divine City, which he had been raising for a long time." After LV Qilian sat down, Yen Yenran had already brought her a cup of tea. LV Qilian took a sip and continued. "Right now, there are 3 that are near the Nine Heaven City, and the other one is with the Nine Heaven School. These evil insects are all very strong, so they must have been born a long time ago. Looks like all of these demonic insects are controlled by the H.E.L. Devil Emperor, otherwise they would definitely not be obedient." Qin Xiang frowned. "Looks like their main target this time is the Nine Heaven City," LV Qilian said. "It is not controlled by the H.E.L. Devil Emperor, but by a mysterious power behind the H.E.L. Devil Emperor. Previously, we had always thought that the H.E.L. Devil Emperor had been abandoned by the other divine nations because they knew the Nine Heaven World's potential. If the Nine Heaven World consumes the Super God realm, then the H.E.L. Devil Emperor will definitely be in charge of suppressing us at that time. Don't worry, there's still the Heavenly Divine Lord. Great Divine Lord and the rest should have already gone into hiding, and their target should be those divine nations. Qin Xiang said. Yen Xilan asked, "Sister Qilian, how did you suddenly know about this? Our spies shouldn't be able to find out about these things, and the Nine Heaven Schools aren't good either. It's clear that only the people hiding in the depths of H.E.L. would know about it, and their positions aren't low either." LV Qilian nodded his head. "Indeed, it wasn't us who investigated about it, but a force called Fu Tian School who provided it to us. Gu Dongchen, Ren Tianyong and the others were also present at that time." Fu Tian School? I have heard that this is a very well-hidden sect, and it has been developing in secret for a long time. Yen Yenran suddenly said. She looked at Lan Lan, who also nodded. After Dragon Subduing School was disbanded that year, Yenran and I traveled all over the place and heard about this Fu Tian School. Lan Lan frowned slightly, but the impression this Fu Tian School gives us is not very good. LV Qilian immediately asked, "What do you mean?" Gu Dongchen, Ren Tianyong and the rest do not know anything about this sect, much less me. Yen Yenran lightly snorted. Then the cultivation method Fu Tian School's cultivate is. When Lon Lon and I first said that small city, nearly half of the women inside harbored hatred towards that leader, and the men of the small city hated the fact that they couldn't wait to kill that leader. Lon Lon also said angrily, "We just arrived at the small city, but somehow the news spread out. We were invited by a group of people to the Fu Tian school. All day long, after knowing about this, we wanted to teach that leader a lesson, but who would have thought that the leader and a group of elders were all very strong. We are no match for him, so we can only leave." After Lon Lon and I increased our strength, we found out that the Fu Tian school was missing, and that the small city beside the Fu Tian school was also destroyed. Yen Yenran said, "That leader is so hateful, they are definitely not some good stuff." Chen Xiang laughed. "Chief Beauty Village Head, you have to be careful of that guy." LV Qilian rolled her eyes at him. "You should pay attention to him." "Sister Qilian, did you see that fellow being leader?" Lon Lon said, "I heard that he has a very young appearance." "Not the leader, he said he's the son of the Fu Tian school. I don't know how he found out about my hundreds of flowers villages matter, but he repeatedly mentioned that he wanted to come in and take a seat, and even said that he wanted to give us a big gift." LV Qilian glanced at Chen Xiang. "Up till now, there is only one man who has entered our hundreds of flowers village." "What an honor!" Chen Xiang laughed. Although Long Shui and the others would always tease Chen Xiang about how bad he was as a little kid, they knew very well what Chen Xiang's bottom line was. "Qilian! Qilian! Are you here?" A weak shout came from outside the window. The voice was very familiar. "Huishan?" After LV Qilian recognized the voice, he immediately sent a sound transmission to the people below, asking them to bring Long Huishan up. "It's Big Sis Long." Chen Xiang was a little excited. "I haven't seen her for a long time. Haven't you been with her all these years?" "No, after the Ice Dragon returned, Ice Dragon race handed it over to the Ice Dragon. She and Lingling also frequently went into seclusion to cultivate. According to what I know, the Ice Dragon is the one that found a vein of ice, and its entire Ice Dragon race is there. Of course, we have often provided them with medicinal pills over the years, and they would also provide us with quite a few ice-cold medicinal herbs and refining materials." Yen Xilan said. She had always been in charge of this kind of exchange. LV Qilian said, "Yulan and Qianxiang still have some peace and quiet as they frequently go to look for them. A few years ago, I got Yulan and the others to help me deliver a message, and asked her if she and Lingling were willing to come to Hundreds of Flowers village. We also have a dragon vein here, and the formation plate Xian and the others refined can also convert the dragon vein's energy into ice attribute." Long Huishan was led up by a young lady. She was dressed simply and wore a bamboo hat. The first time Chen Xiang had met Long Huishan, she was a gentle and beautiful woman. After receiving the inheritance of the Ice Dragon, with a shake of her body, she transformed into a mighty and domineering female dragon king. Right now, she was much stronger than before. She hadn't even put on the dragon armor, so she already looked quite powerful. "Big Sis Long." Chen Xiang anxiously stood up and walked over. At this time, he also noticed Shen Lingling behind Long Huishan. The little girl was already very pitiful at first, but Chen Xiang felt that it was fated for him to help her, and even accepted her as his recognized sister. After being nurtured by Long Huishan, she had already escaped from that tragic fate. "Brother!" Seeing Chen Xiang coming over, Shen Lingling screamed excitedly and threw herself into Chen Xiang's embrace, sobbing. It could be seen that she missed Chen Xiang a lot. "Lingling, you have become stronger." Chen Xiang rubbed her head and looked at her mature and beautiful face. In the past, when she was still very young, Chen Xiang would often be busy outside, and she would also undergo closed-door cultivation all day. It had been many years since they last met. Lingling, you have become stronger. Chen Xiang rubbed her head and looked at her mature and beautiful face. In the past, when she was still very young, Chen Xiang would often be busy outside, and she would also undergo closed-door cultivation all day. It had been many years since they last met. The Shun Lingling after growing up had a very charming face, but although she was charming, she was not like the enchantress Su Meiyao, Hua Xiangyue, and Yen Yenran. With every frown and smile, her every action was extremely charming, captivating people's hearts. Shun Lingling was different from the rest. It's been so long since we last met. Lingling has also become a little beauty. She nodded towards Long Huishan. Back then, she had also helped Long Huishan to manage his business for a period of time, so the two of them were very familiar with each other. D.A.M. And brat, you are always running all over the place. Why aren't you coming back to see me and your little sisters? Long Huishan mercilessly hit Chen Xiang's head. You, Lingling, are already so old, but I've never seen you do it a few times. All you know is that you've been stuffed in my place. Yen Yenran walked to Shin Lingling's side, caressed her face and smiled seductively. Lingling is a beauty that can seduce all living things now, and her strength seems to be not bad either. Lon Lon was a little envious. She pouted and said, "Why can't I grow up?" Back then, Lingling was only slightly taller than me. As Shin Lingling and Yen Yenran stood together, and wore the same bright red cheongsam, it made them seem even more charming and gorgeous. Walking on the street just like that, it must have been very eye-catching, especially under circuit stances where they were equally charming, but gave off a completely different feeling to others. It was even more eye-catching. Sister Lon Lon, this is also very good. Shin Lingling was naive and innocent, but she had a charming face that could bring calamity to a nation. She always felt that this would be more eye-catching, and she did not like it. Hui Shan, have you decided to stay with us? LV Chilian asked. Yulan and the others should have told you guys before. After all, Yulan and the others are all there. However, the Ice Dragon ancestor needed some time to teach me the things he could teach. When Long Huishan sat down, he leaned forward and grabbed a fruit by the side and began to eat. Frozen Dragon ancestor originally planned to go to Super G.O.D realm, but when he heard that Chen Xiang had returned, he did not go as well. He had mentioned to me earlier that Heavenly Divine Lord's Great Divine Lord was summoning him. Back then, the Ice Dragon had received Chen Xiang's great help to awaken its memories, allowing it to shake off the God of Fortune's bondage. Thus, when he found out that Shin Lingling and Long Huishan were sisters that had been sworn brothers of Chen Xiang, they took special care of them and gave them everything they had. We are going to the City Lord's mansion for a meeting later. Chen Xiang, you and Huishan will follow me. You guys stay here. The Fu Tian school will also partake. 1p8. LV Chilian said. Lingling, you can return to the Hundreds of Flowers village with Purple Orchid first and familiarize yourself with the environment inside. The battles here aren't suitable for you. Shin Lingling nodded. She stood up on her tiptoes and kissed Chen Xiang on the cheek, then followed Yen Xilan and left. Truly a good little sister. Yulan and Qianxiang, these two wild girls, think of defeating me every day. Chen Xiang touched the place where Shin Lingling kissed, and laughed. Yenran, Lon Lon, you guys will be in charge of collecting information related to the Fu Tian school. A large group of people will be coming here, so it's impossible for them to all go to the City Lord's mansion for meetings. LV Chilian warned them, you must be careful of them. If anything goes wrong, run back to the 100 Flowers Pavilion. Yen Yenran had experienced Yen Yenran's and his concealed abilities before, but she herself was unable to see through it. Furthermore, the few big shots of Nine Heaven School had also tested it, but it still wasn't working, and only Chen Xiang was able to do it. Now let's go, Huishan. I will tell you some important things on the way so that you can understand the situation. LV Qilian felt that the Fu Tian school had other purposes. If their current leader was really the one that Yen Yenran and Lan Lan met, then the Fu Tian school would definitely not be a good person. LV Qilian brought Chen Xiang and the others and walked onto a caravan. This carriage did not have a horse to drag, but it could move by itself, its speed could also be fast, and it could even fly outside. This car is so nice, and it has such a big bed. After Chen Xiang climbed up, the room was very big. There was a bed and a low table, the floor was covered with a snow-white soft fur, the decorations were very beautiful, and Chen Xiang was rolling around on top of it. This carriage was about the same size as the carriage, but its interior was about the size of a hall. It was arranged using spatial runes. Brat, be more honest. This is Qilian's chariot, it's not a dog's nest. When Long Huishan saw Chen Xiang rolling around impolitely to lie on LV Qilian's bed, she felt that he must be enduring his anger. Chen Xiang laughed. She will not mind, right, Sister Qilian? Of course, she wouldn't mind. She and Chen Xiang had already said many sweet dreams, and her heart had long been conquered by Chen Xiang. If Long Huishan wasn't here, she would have been sweet and intimate with him. Big Sister Huishan, don't you feel that you're a bit in the way here? Chen Xiang snorted, his face filled with a dubious expression. LV Qilian glared at Chen Xiang, her face turning slightly red. Only now did Long Huishan finally understand. She did not expect LV Qilian to be so close to Chen Xiang. Brat, alright, you've even taken care of Qilian, you're amazing. Long Huishan praised her wholeheartedly, but she also knew about Chen Xiang's playfulness. How is it amazing? If I can deal with Big Sister Huishan, that would be amazing. Chen Xiang laughed sinisterly. Long Huishan laughed and said to LV Qilian, Qilian, aren't you going to do something now? Your man is teasing me. Chen Xiang laughed and said, Originally, I wanted to do something with me, but since you are here, cough, cough, you can completely ignore me. You don't have to care about what I feel. You can do whatever you want with me. Just as Long Huishan finished speaking, she regretted it. She did not expect Chen Xiang to suddenly flash and appear by his side. The moment LV Qilian saw Chen Xiang coming over, she threw herself onto the soft carpet, and her sandalwood mouth was violently blocked by Chen Xiang. Although her body was struggling, for some reason, her power had started to gradually weaken, and after that she had obeyed Chen Xiang and kissed him in front of Long Huishan. Long Huishan scoffed, this little bastard is getting more and more presumptuous. If there's a chance, I'll teach him a lesson. She had seen a big scene before, but she had never seen this scene of a man and woman kissing passionately before. We're here. Long Huishan strongly patted Chen Xiang's back. All along the way, she kept looking at them, but since LV Qilian was unwilling, it was obvious that Chen Xiang had done it on purpose to make her look bad. Thinking of this, Long Huishan became even more furious. We're here. Long Huishan strongly patted Chen Xiang's back. All along the way, she kept looking at them, but since LV Qilian was unwilling, it was obvious that Chen Xiang had done it on purpose to make her look bad. Thinking of this, Long Huishan became even more furious. Humph! LV Qilian pushed Chen Xiang away and gently wiped her red lips with the back of her hand. Her cheeks were red and bashful, as she did not dare to look at Long Huishan directly. Let's go, it's no big deal. Long Huishan chuckled and helped LV Qilian tidy up his clothes that had been messed up by Chen Xiang, then got off the car with her first. Chen Xiang licked his lips and laughed as he followed behind them. Once he got out of the car, LV Qilian regained the aura of a female superior, which was a huge difference from her previous bashful and flirtatious attitude. After entering the city lord's mansion, LV Qilian brought Long Huishan and the others into a secret meeting room. There were already a lot of people inside. Most of these people were people that Chen Xiang was very familiar with, such as Gu Dongchen, devil-killing heavenly God, and penalty heavenly God. These were all old acquaintances of Qin Xiang. There were only two people here whom Qin Xiang did not know, a handsome man in white and a tall, powerful, one-eyed man. Once Qin Xiang came in, he paid attention to the two people. He noticed that when Long Huishan and LV Qilian came in, the man in white clothes' eyes lit up, and Qin Xiang was sure that the man in white was the son of Fu Tian School. "Miss Long, are you here on behalf of the Ice Dragon race?" Gu Dongchen said with a smile. Of course they knew that the Ice Dragon had returned, and it even possessed extraordinary strength. It occupied the dragon vein, and was an extremely powerful force in the entire Ice Dragon race. "No, I have already joined the Hundreds of Flowers village." Long Huishan also returned the greeting with a smile, and then sat down. The white-clothed man stood up and smiled. "I am an elder of the Fu Tian school. As my father is a leader, he has a lot of things to do, so he cannot come." Everyone nodded their heads, indicating that they understood. Other than Qin Xiang and Long Huishan, everyone else had a good impression of this man in white, because he was extremely polite and polite. "This must be a famous female dragon king of the Ice Dragon race. I am Fu Tiangao, and am honored to meet you." The white-clothed man cupped his hands towards Long Huishan. Long Huishan only nodded his head, his expression indifferent. "For Lady Lu to be able to obtain such a great general like female dragon king, your Hundreds of Flowers village will definitely become more powerful in the future. This is truly a cause for celebration," Fu Tiangao said to LV Qilian. Everyone could see that Fu Tiangao had other motives towards LV Qilian and Long Huishan, because even though they had been in the sect for a long time, they had not seen this brat flattering them like this. "Right, who is this brother that came in with you?" Fu Tiangao looked at Qin Xiang. Although he had an extremely amiable smile on his face, Qin Xiang could catch an extremely strong hostility in his eyes. "Qin Xiang said indifferently, then sat down right beside LV Qilian. One glance was enough to tell that his relations HI+P with LV Qilian was pretty good. "So it's the once famous Qin Xiang, I've heard a lot about him." Fu Tiangao saw that Qin Xiang was very casually sitting at the seat beside LV Qilian, and he was a little jealous. He said, "All of us are here today to represent a certain force. He can represent my 9 Heaven School. There's also the devil-killing Divine City." Gu Dongchen and Ren Tianyong immediately expressed their intentions. They were telling Fu Tiangao to understand his position here. Fu Tiangao immediately smiled apologetically, as expected of a famous person, amazing, admiring. Fu Tiangao had just suffered a setback, and felt even more unwell in his heart. Just as he sat down, LV Qilian said, "Qin Xiang can also represent my Hundreds of Flowers village." Gu Dongchen and the others were secretly laughing in their hearts. That group of terrifying women in the Hundreds of Flowers village were basically all very close to Qin Xiang, so of course Qin Xiang could represent the Hundreds of Flowers village. "Brother Shun is truly worthy of my admiration." Fu Tiangao still had a gentle smile on his face, but he was bleeding with hatred in his heart. He did not expect Qin Xiang and LV Qilian's relations HI+P to be so good, and knew that they had also entered the Hundreds of Flowers village before. For someone like him who trained in the Yang recovery art, the Hundreds of Flowers village was a sacred place to him. Which one of the girls inside wasn't talented and outstanding, and if he could get them, not only would he be able to improve his cultivation, but he would also be able to satisfy his desire to conquer her. However, right now, someone had already beat him to it, which was why Fu Tiangao hated Qin Xiang so much. Of course, Qin Xiang's status also made him jealous. "Young Master Fu, how much do you know about those evil insects? Do you know their weaknesses?" Gu Dongchen asked, because Fu Tian School could be considered a rather strong sect. As long as they were not enemies, they could be allied with them, having more people and more strength. Fu Tiangao said, For the time being, we don't know. There are disciples hiding in the underworld sect who only know about the evil insect. The news that we just received was that there are still some in the underworld sect, and these evil insects are all under the control of the Hel Devil Emperor. However, the Hel Devil Emperor only has temporary control, and the one who can control the evil insects in the end is the mysterious divine nations. But everyone, don't worry, the insects that are attacking are all in the first batch, they're not very strong. If the insect army wanted to be strong, then they had to have a lot of strength first. The queen bug was newly born, so the first batch that the queen bug produced was very weak. What we need to do now is to kill the queen bug and kill her. The queen bug will die and the other demonic insects will commit suicide in despair because the queen bug has a huge mental impact on them. Those evil insects were born by the insect queen, so the thought that they imparted to the insect queen was that she was alive. The devil-killing heavenly God asked, if the insect queen wants to become stronger, does it mean that she has to rely on these demonic insects to bring her strength to them? Fu Tiangao nodded. Yes, the evil insects will go out to hunt and absorb the blood and energy of humans or beasts. They will condense a type of evil bead, and after it is formed, it will be fed to the queen bug. The insect queen eats a large amount of evil beads and becomes stronger continuously. The stronger the insect queen is, the faster she can lay her eggs, and the more powerful the demonic insect will be when she grows up. Chen Xiang and the others understood why Yuer said that a powerful giant God world would be destroyed by these evil worms. Once the insect had grown to a certain level, it would be very difficult to control. Do you know where the queen bug is now? Wu Kaming asked. If we knew, we would have immediately gotten rid of the insect. Of course, the thing that worries us the most are the bugs secretly raised by the Hel Devil Emperor. This is the greatest threat. Chen Xiang really wanted to know which divine nations raised this thing. They were simply playing with fire. If they really lost control of these insects, then that would be playing with fire. The information that Fu Tiangao provided was not important at all. They were all ordinary information and could only be used to kill bugs. But now they had to know where the bug queen was hiding before they could kill it. The information that Fu Tiangao provided was not important at all. They were all ordinary information and could only be used to kill bugs. But now they had to know where the bug queen was hiding before they could kill it. Everyone, don't worry, the disciples of our Fu Tian school will be able to find the location of the queen very soon. When that time comes, we will work together and definitely kill a few of them. Fu Tiangao laughed. Right now, I wonder if we can arrange for the disciples of our Fu Tian school to be transferred over? The 9 Heaven Cities transmission array had already been closed and could not be transferred in. We, the Fu Tian school, have already selected 3,000 elite disciples to lend a hand. We wish to express the sincerity of our Fu Tian school, and we truly wish to ally with everyone to eliminate this evil demon that is a scourge to the common people. Fu Tiangao stood up and said seriously. Wu Kaming nodded his head. We will think about it again. If we want to open the transmission array, it will take a few days, and it won't be activated that quickly. The transmission array that we receive is very special, it needs to penetrate the Great City Barrier formation. Understandable. If you have made a decision, please inform this one and I will contact my father immediately. When the time comes, I will ask him to send some more disciples over, and when I arrived at 9 Heaven City, I found out that the situation here was much worse than what I had expected. Fu Tiangao nodded and sat down, then smiled at LV Qilian. Miss Liu, I wonder what plans your Hundreds of Flowers village has for the battle at that time. It hasn't been decided yet. LV Qilian replied a little flatly. What about the seniors? Fu Tiangao looked towards Gu Dongchun and the others. Our 9 Heaven School has already sent an elite team over. When the time comes, they will bring 10,000 of their elite disciples to Sinate the night sky, reducing the number of evil beings. Gu Dongchen replied. Devil-killing Divine City will cast a long-range spell on the city walls to attack the approaching demon army. Ren Tianyong said. Devil-killing Heavenly G.O.D. looked at penalty Heavenly G.O.D. and said, the punishment will be infiltrating the demon army and killing their leaders. Fu Tiangao nodded. It's all good strategies. I will use my secret treasure to contact the disciples hiding in the underworld sect now. Everyone in the meeting room stood up. Although they did not understand Fu Tiangao, but they still needed to be courteous. Fu Tiangao anxiously left the city lord's mansion. He brought a few people with him and stayed at the nearest inn. After Fu Tiangao, Chen Xiang said, how can you guys say the plan of action? Devil-killing Heavenly G.O.D. laughed. That was nonsense. Gu Dongchen also laughed. I was just casually saying it. How can this kind of plan be known by someone who is half a lifetime away? G.O.D. knows he wasn't arranged by the H.E.L. Devil Emperor. The penalty Heavenly G.O.D. said, we definitely can't open the teleportation channel to let the disciples of the Fu Tian school come here. I don't trust this guy to talk about things that are not worth talking about. The people sitting here were all sly old foxes, and it wasn't easy to fool them. Seems like this guy is here for my Hundreds of Flowers village. LV Chilian said. You all didn't feel it, that guy seemed to want to eat me alive. Wu Kaming chuckled. Junior Master, you don't seem to be satisfied with this guy. It's the first time you've met, but he hasn't offended you yet. Could it be? Wu Kaming gave LV Chilian an ambiguous look, as if everyone present could see through their relations. Hi+P. Although LV Chilian looked clean and pure, and had some conflicts with him in the past, but after reconciling with him, Wu Kaming and Wu Kaming started to interact more and more, and now that they were here together, their relations. Hi+P could even be seen to the extent where their eyes were blind. It wasn't there in the beginning, but Yanran and Lan Lan mentioned some terrible things about the Fu Tian school. Chen Xiang told her what Yanran and Lan Lan had learned from the Fu Tian school back then. Penalty Heavenly G.O.D. said, I have heard of such a cultivation technique. If the Fu Tian school wants to join hands with us, it should be the leader himself, but I keep on having the feeling that he doesn't dare to come and that those excuses are insufficient. Devil-killing Heavenly G.O.D. took a deep breath. From what you said, it is possible that you know Fu Tian school's leader? And he's afraid of you? Yes, back then I personally went to chase down a person who specialized in cultivating this method. This has caused a lot of harm to a lot of women, and coincidentally, I went to a city to find out about this. I fought with him before, and he's very strong, so the power he uses is also very strange. He was seriously injured by me, but I didn't catch him. The penalty Heavenly G.O.D. said. Chen Xiang said, someone that even the penalty Heavenly G.O.D. cannot catch, he must be very cunning. Gu Dongchen laughed. The punishment now is 2G.O.D. delay. No worries, I still prefer the name penalty Heavenly G.O.D. After all, he has been called for too long, I can't even remember my own name. Penalty Heavenly G.O.D. laughed. Devil-killing Heavenly G.O.D. asked. Punishment, you have hunted that guy for a period of time, you should know him well, right? Penalty Heavenly G.O.D. nodded. Not only him, I also have a deep understanding of his cultivation technique. Hearing Chen Xiang say that, I also feel that they are here for the Hundreds of Flowers village, they have already reached a bottleneck in their cultivation, and the weak girls are no longer able to satisfy them. Thus, they needed to find an even more outstanding and powerful woman. This martial art is very strange. The woman who gets her yin qi from her body is like someone who is poisoned. She will die from the poison in her later years. She will die miserably. LV Chilian frowned, his anger rising. If the situation is true, I will personally kill this group of beasts that are inferior to me. Now you're actually targeting us. Now, let's see how Yanran and Lon Lon are doing. Just as Chen Xiang finished speaking, LV Chilian took out the trembling jade talisman. Someone had sent a message to him. It's Yanran. I didn't expect her to have an outcome so soon. LV Chilian said, Elder Wu, they are outside. Wu Kaming opened the door and walked out, bringing Yanran and Lon Lon in. After the two girls came in, they paid their respects to the senior here. You two little girls, don't be so polite, sit down. Back then, Gu Dongchen was also in the dragon subduing school, so he was very clear about Yanran's and Lan's abilities. This group of people are really not good people. As soon as they arrived in this city, they locked onto a few powerful women. They were planning to attack, and one of them was from our 100 Flowers Hall. Yanran was extremely angry. Their main target is our Hundreds of Flowers village. They plan to give us a large amount of precious divine medicine as a gift, in order to obtain our good impression, and then slowly pull us closer. Chen Xiang was also very angry. My God, we definitely can't let this brat die too easily. Fu Tian School's scheme was already very obvious, but Chen Xiang and the others felt that other than this, Fu Tian School must have other motives. Fu Tian School's scheme was already very obvious, but Chen Xiang and the others felt that other than this, Fu Tian School must have other motives. They definitely did not find out that the Fu Tian School was able to obtain information related to the evil worms. Gu Dongchen said, Now we already know that the Fu Tian School has ill intentions. On the surface, he wants to ally with us, but he secretly wants to harm us. The devil-killing Heavenly God snorted. Don't even think about it, they definitely have an alliance with the underworld sect. The reason they told us this kind of news is to gain our trust, then when it's more or less time, they will scheme a bit more, and catch all of us 9 Heaven School and us, the 9 Heaven School, in one fell swoop, and then they can deal with the Hundreds of Flowers village as well. Penalty Heavenly God said, What a good plan. Wouldn't it be too easy for them if it was just to kill the fellows here? Fu Tiangao still didn't know that he had angered these old cunning foxes, and it wasn't as simple as him dying in anger. Gu Dongchen said, Let's do it, didn't they say they want to send a group of elite disciples? I didn't believe him before, but now I do. LV Chilian said coldly. That group of elite disciples should have already reached the bottleneck. They are here to look for cultivation resources. The Fu Tian School's so-called resources for cultivation were to use their evil techniques to obtain strength by gathering yang and replenies. Hi plus ing. I support the Gu leader's strategy of letting them send the so-called elite disciples over, and then we'll kill them. The condition is that we have to ensure that the people they teleported to us do not cause any harm to this place. Otherwise, this place would be a little dangerous. Long Huishan said. Devil-killing Heavenly God nodded his head. That is indeed the case, but don't worry about that. We can set up a powerful killing array in advance, and when the time comes we can just place a transmission array plate inside the killing array for them to teleport in, and then we can eliminate them in one fell swoop. Chen Xiang said. El Devil Emperor knows that we can't force our way out, so we decided to use a clever method. Fortunately, they didn't succeed. I'm in charge of communicating with him. Let him think that we have already trusted him. Wu Kaming said. I'll go back and get the killing formation, LV Chilian said. She hated this Fu Tian School very much. We will be prepared to welcome the Fu Tian School when the time comes. Gu Dongchen laughed. I haven't started a Ma's Saker in a long time. Since everyone has something to do, I can't stay idle either. I will be in charge of investigating the position of the queen bug, and also see if I can kill these bugs. Chen Xiang said, although his cultivation was not high, But the big heads here all did not doubt his strength, especially his detection and concealment skills. LV Chilian said, "Why don't you let Yanran and Lon Lon go with you?" "No need, they still need to keep an eye on that Fu Tiangao here. I can go there myself," Chen Xiang said. "All right, then let's begin," Wu Kaming said and then dispersed. Chen Xiang did not move. He wanted LV Chilian to notify Hundreds of Flowers Village and ask Yuer to come over. He wanted to move together with Yuer. Yan Xilan brought Yuer over, gently and worriedly warned Chen Xiang to be careful, and even kissed her cheek. Chen Xiang used a secret array inside the city lord's mansion to teleport to a place outside that did not have any evil demons. This was originally a dense forest, but after being said bye-bye by the evil demons, it had turned into a forest filled with endless death aura. Yuer, if you encounter a sudden danger, what would you do? Chen Xiang wanted to communicate with Yuer about the use of spatial energy. When Yuer was in danger, most of her time was spent relying on her spatial energy. If I didn't awaken my memories in the past, I would have used long-distance teleportation to escape. But now, when I use spatial escape to hide myself in other Sile faults, the ancestors who didn't use their spatial powers won't be able to find me. Yuer smiled. So, when you use your transformation technique, you don't have to worry about me. I can hide at any time. Furthermore, her own foundation was very solid as well, and her entire family was extremely terrifying. She seemed to have inherited the inheritance of her family, which was why Chen Xiang felt that she would definitely become an extremely terrifying person in the future. Other than using spatial escape, I can also use the SPAC wind. As she spoke, Yuer suddenly disappeared. When she reappeared, Yuer was already in front of them. There is a difference between this and teleportation. Only by being extremely sensitive to spatial energy will I be able to sense the SPAC wind. Just now, I followed the SPAC wind and floated forward, and didn't even need any spatial energy at all to let the SPAC wind take me running, allowing me to travel for a long distance in SPAC. Yuer had thought that Chen Xiang had used spatial energy extremely well, but she later found out that Chen Xiang didn't even have a spatial technique. Hence, she felt that it was necessary to guide Chen Xiang in using his spatial energy. Yuer carefully guided Chen Xiang in the use of these spatial art. The star HI plus FDing technique that Chen Xiang taught her already had a certain amount of foundation, and she was able to easily learn it now. In the past, he had used a similar method of spatial escape, however. He had hidden in the tyrannical spatial turbulence. In the past, he had used a similar method of spatial escape, however. He had hid in the tyrannical spatial turbulence, which had hidden in the tyrannical spatial turbulence. As for spatial escape, it was the most stable place in both SPAC and SPAC. Yuer was simply like a fault or crack. As long as one could control it well, they could instantly find it and then hide inside it. This SPAC wind is pretty good to use. Chen Xiang spent more than half a day's time to learn how to use the SPAC wind. With just a thought, he discovered that his body could be merged with the SPAC wind and moved quickly by a surge of energy. This way, when you run, you can just directly use the SPAC wind. You don't need to continuously teleport to move fast. Yuer smiled and replied, although the speed will be a little slower. Right now, Chen Xiang was using the SPAC wind with Chen Xiang, and in the blink of an eye, they had already distanced themselves from the forest. Chen Xiang could only see the scenery on both sides of him plusing rapidly to the back, and he couldn't see anything at all. After leaving the forest, Chen Xiang quickly arrived at the top of a barren mountain, and looked at the demonic army that was densely covered in black clouds. Yuer, do you know the characteristics of that insect? How do we find the bugs? This thing is the biggest threat, Chen Xiang said. After a moment of silence, Yu Er replied, I can't ask now, but I can only find out at night. At night, the light of the stars and moon can reach the earth, and as long as the insect is hit by it, or if it is just a breath of air, I can find it. Yuer's ability to communicate with Xing Yu really made Chen Xiang jealous. He had asked Yuer if she could learn this skill, and Yuer had said that this skill was innate. Even if it was in the star-moon divine race S, no one would know of this skill. Yuer's ability to communicate with Xing Yu really made Chen Xiang jealous. He had asked Yuer if she could learn this skill, and Yuer had said that this skill was innate. Even if it was in the star-moon divine race S, no one would know of this skill. The demon army did not attack the city, and the ones leading them should be the Devil Emperor and the rest. They were very clear about the 9 Heaven Cities' defensive power, and they were currently guarding the city gate, obviously waiting for the moment the city's defenses were broken. Dusk fell. The sky had turned dark, and the demon army seemed to be extremely excited. They hated the feeling of the sun's ning down on them during the day, so when they crowded together, they would release some dark energy to protect themselves from the sun's rays. As the sky gradually darkened, the demon army in front became more and more spirited, noisy. These evil demons all looked like humans, but they were all clad in beast skins, looking tall and powerful. These guys aren't idiots who are controlled. They actually know how to chat and laugh. Don't tell me that they were transformed by humans? Chen Xiang had seen the army of the Devil Emperor before. They were all raised by him in the infernal realm, and used a large amount of undead energy. But now, he lacked the resources. If so many of these armies were cultivated by humans, then he would need to carry out a great slaughter, and obtain a large amount of power from the bodies of the dead. Evil devil cultivators' way of doing things was to sacre them, and after that, the souls and bodies of the dead would be of great help to them. But now that the 9 Heaven World had annexed the Gods realm, the number of humans was very large, especially the weak humans. For the evil demons, this was a very rich source of cultivation resources. After all, there are so many humans and there are definitely many and since the Devil Emperor has provided them with a shortcut cultivation technique, they will naturally follow the Devil Emperor. This kind of fellow who obtained power through killing innocent people must be exterminated. Yuer said, You 9 Heaven World will have to prevent this guy from appearing on a large scale in the future because of your prosperity. Back then, our Star Law Divine Realm also appeared once. Speaking of Star Law Divine Realm she had trusted before, Yuer couldn't help but sigh. Star Law Divine Realm's top ranker, who wanted to live forever, to find a reason to persecute undead divine race, was no different from these demons in front of her. The only difference was that this group of evil demons was weak, while the group of evil demons in Star Law Divine Realm were very strong. After dark, the sky was filled with stars. Yuer began to communicate with the stars and the moon. Took her a full 4 hours before she discovered something. I found it. The nearest bug queen is still some distance away. Let's go take a look now, Yuer said as she sneaked into Chen Xiang's backpack. After Chen Xiang sensed the direction of the wind, he immediately used the SPAC wind and headed towards the location of the nearest insect empress. Not long after, Chen Xiang arrived at a mountain range. He was hiding at the top of a mountain peak, making him feel that this mountain range was briming with vitality. Is that it? Chen Xiang was at the top of a mountain, and he could clearly see the several large mountains in the middle surrounding it. There was a huge pit there, and when he told Divine Soul to go over to take a look, he could not see the bottom of it. Yes, the queen bug hid in the ground. She dug this pit herself. The queen bug's body was very large, like a mountain, Moonchild said. The deep pit that Chen Xiang saw was even larger than the mountains around him. Furthermore, it was so deep that he couldn't even see the bottom of it. Looks like I have to explore deeper. I wonder if it will be dangerous if I get close to the insect? The purpose of Chen Xiang's visit was to find out the position of the insect queen, and then to estimate her strength. It's best not to get too close. The bug queen has a large body. Although moving is inconvenient, its defensive and offensive power is extremely strong. The insect empress didn't want to be disturbed by humans, so there are no devil emperor people guarding this place. As long as she senses even a trace of human aura, she will be angry. Yue said, "Try exposing your aura if you don't believe me." Chen Xiang really revealed his spirit chi, but after just a few breaths of time, the mountain started to shake and shake, all the tall mountains around the pit started to crack and collapse, and from the deep pit, a red mist formed tentacle that reached towards Chen Xiang. "Hurry up!" Yue shouted in alarm. Chen Xiang anxiously hid his presence, using spatial escape to hide in the crevices of SPAC. Even though he had hidden himself in the spatial crack, he could still feel a very powerful ripple transmitted over. He sensed the SPAC wind in the spatial crack, and only ran out after bringing Yue some distance away. When he came out, he was immediately stunned. The mountain range that he had entered earlier had already been razed to the ground. The deep pit on the ground was where the Queen of Bugs resided. The forest that was originally surrounded by trees had now been turned to rubble. "Too terrifying, I can't kill this guy by myself." Chen Xiang never thought that the insect empress would be so terrifying. Just as he finished speaking, the deep pit suddenly released a strong suction force, absorbing all the shattered rocks around the big pit. There were a lot of crushed stones and soil, and in a short moment, all of them entered the deep pit. The deep pit had disappeared. Clearly, the queen bug had intentionally hidden herself. The queen bug should be lurking in the depths of the earth. It actually ran around everywhere. It's too scary. We have to get the news back to them and let them strengthen their defense so that the dragon's vein won't be damaged. Yue said. Chen Xiang had only been out for one night, and he already had a Stonies HI+ in gains. He took out an array disk, and after entering the array disk, he was teleported to the 100 Flowers Hall. Sister Qilian doesn't seem to be here. Chen Xiang came out of the teleportation room, looked around. It was very quiet here. When he arrived at the hall, he heard someone humming a cheerful little tune. Chen Xiang looked towards the little hall at the other side. It was a bathing room, and the door was wide open. Chen Xiang told himself in his heart that he had important things to attend to, and that he definitely did not have any other goals. Little Moon stuck out her head and laid by the side of her backpack, as if she was waiting for something. Chen Xiang arrived at the bathroom's door and saw Long Huishan soaking in a bath. She leaned on the side of the bath and faced Chen Xiang, but her chest was submerged in water, and all Chen Xiang could see was her jade-white beautiful collarbone. Long Huishan was still humming a little song. Even though she had seen Chen Xiang, it seemed like nothing had happened. "Good little brother, you've been busy all day, so you should be tired. Do you want to bathe together?" Long Huishan giggled. "Yes," Chen Xiang said shamelessly. He had already stepped into the shower room, but when he entered, he discovered that something was wrong. Although the water in the bath was foggy, it gave Chen Xiang an extremely cold feeling. He felt that there must be a trick to it. Chen Xiang only came to the side of the pond and stopped. He did not plan to go down. He only felt a bit of cold air and knew that the water was definitely not hot water. Chen Xiang only came to the side of the pond and stopped. He did not plan to go down. He only felt a bit of cold air and knew that the water was definitely not hot water. "Why aren't you coming down?" Long Huishan chuckled. Chen Xiang's eyes were currently fixed on her chest, only that place was covered by a red petal. He could not see anything. "Big sis Long, I have something important to do." After I found a bug, she ran away. Chen Xiang arrived at the edge of the bath, where Long Huishan was leaning on and looked down without restraint. However, Long Huishan and the others could hide themselves well, causing him to be unable to see anything that he wanted to see. I remember that Fu Tiangao said that the queen was very big, so it was not convenient to move her, but she actually ran away. Long Huishan frowned slightly as he thought it was a little surprising. Could it be that you've attacked the insect? Of course not, I don't dare to attack. I just went near that place and exposed a bit of my aura, which would cause the queen to be alert. After she went into a rage and razed the entire mountain range to the ground, she drilled away from the ground. Chen Xiang thought back to it with a tinge of fear. The bug queen is so powerful, I am no match for her. Long Huishan's long legs stuck out of the water, and then she gently rubbed it with her jade hands before putting it down again. Watching her, Chen Xiang secretly gulped a mouthful of saliva, while Long Huishan just chuckled lightly. Help me rub my back. Long Huishan laughed. Oh. Chen Xiang answered. His hands seemed to be unable to control himself as he reached towards Long Huishan's back and gently rubbed her shoulders. Long Huishan murmured in great enjoyment. I didn't think that a thick-headed old man like you would actually be able to do such a meticulous thing. Chen Xiang only chuckled twice. At this time, he was indeed very serious as he rubbed Long Huishan's back and shoulders, and used his Chuangzhao fire to secretly make his hands feel warm. For an ice dragon like Long Huishan, who trained in the icy cold power all year round, it was also very comfortable to occasionally feel this kind of warmth. I'll inform Qilian, Gu Dongchen and the others right now. After Long Huishan took out the communication jade symbol paper, he asked Chen Xiang to explain the details to her, and then she said them on to the big shots in the conference room one by one. Long Huishan laughed. Good little brother, you are always so tired. Are you really not going to come down and wash up together with me? No more. Chen Xiang looked at the cold energy that leaked out from the water surface and shook his head. Are you that afraid of me? Long Huishan pouted. Earlier on that carriage, you said you wanted to take care of me, but now you're trying to take care of me. Seeing Long Huishan's playful expression, Chen Xiang took a deep breath. Both of his hands moved like lightning deep into the water and pressed on Long Huishan's chest. Long Huishan was truly unexpected. She had only planned to tease Chen Xiang a little, but she had never expected that the desire for Chen Xiang to possess her would be so strong. Little B-A-S-T-A-R-D, stop messing around. Long Huishan hurriedly shouted as he placed his hands perfectly on her chest, preventing her from escaping. Furthermore, he even rubbed her hands lightly. This feeling would not be forgotten even if she died. Just as Chen Xiang was feeling satisfied, there was someone standing at the door. It was LV Qilian who was there, and she was a little surprised to see him. Of course she could tell that Chen Xiang had forced it, because Long Huishan was struggling slightly. After knowing that LV Qilian had come, Chen Xiang hurriedly stopped and let go of Long Huishan. She only saw Long Huishan looking at Chen Xiang with a blushing face. Although her face was filled with anger, there was still a trace of gentleness in her eyes. D-A-M-N brat. Long Huishan scolded. The water that was condensed from ice had already been thrown heavily into Chen Xiang's face. After being hit, Chen Xiang flew out and crashed into the wall. Seeing Chen Xiang getting beaten up, LV Qilian's face was also filled with joy. He then said lightly, "Quickly come out and get down to business." Chen Xiang rubbed his face and curled his lips. Then, he walked out of the bath and sat on a chair in the hall outside. His face was a little red. After that, Long Huishan also came out of the bath, and dressed in an ice armor, looking extremely domineering. Adding that her jade face was covered in frost, Chen Xiang felt a little afraid. I've already gotten the array disc, and we'll go find Gu Dongchen and the others later to discuss how to deal with Fu Tian school. Chen Xiang, you said that the insect empress ran away. LV Qilian asked. He ran away, but don't worry. You will be able to find him, and right now I also have some understanding of the Bug Queen. Right now I can't deal with her by myself, at least not with the strength of AG. O.D. Chen Xiang said. Long Huishan said from the side, I'll go with him. If you can't come back and call for help, you guys must stay here and defend the city. Chen Xiang didn't even dare to look at Long Huishan, because that fierce gaze that Long Huishan used to look at him with earlier had already made him somewhat afraid. Fine. Just a moment ago, she had personally witnessed how Chen Xiang had taken advantage of Long Huishan, and now, Long Huishan had actually suggested that she go with him, causing LV Qilian to suddenly worry about him. Long Huishan stood up, glared at Chen Xiang and said, What are you afraid of? I will bring your little lover back safely. Humph, he's your little lover now as well, and he's even your little brother. LV Qilian snorted, but his eyes were filled with laughter. Chen Xiang coughed dryly twice, then said, Let's go, let's take advantage of the fact that it's still nighttime, to make it easier to find the insect queen. Long Huishan looked at Yuer, who was in Chen Xiang's bag, nodded, and followed Chen Xiang into the teleportation room, teleporting out of the city. Just like last time, they appeared in that forest that was filled with evil aura. After arriving here, Long Huishan had also put away the snow-white ice dragon armor on her body and changed into a set of black tight clothes. Big Sis Long, I'm really sorry for what happened just now. I don't know why my head started burning. I can't control it. Chen Xiang said with a face full of guilt, because after Long Huishan's intense reaction, he was extremely uneasy. D.A.M. And brat, it's been so long since you last touched a woman. Just now, Long Huishan had felt Chen Xiang's deep feelings for him. It's been a long time, even though I have many women by my side. But I can't find the right time. Chen Xiang laughed dryly. Long Huishan punched him in the chest and scolded him with a laugh. You're really so afraid that I'll get angry, but I never expected you to be so brave, to actually dare come. If it wasn't for Qilian who just happened to come, maybe you would have gotten hit by it. Seeing the carefree smile on Long Huishan's face, Chen Xiang secretly calmed down and laughed. I'm just afraid that you will ignore me in the future. I don't want to lose you. But come to think of it, did Big Sis Long think that Sister Qilian did not come at the right time, and felt a little disappointed? Stop being so smelly. Long Huishan patted his head. Long Huishan was also very tall, reaching Chen Xiang's forehead. He was almost as tall as Chen Xiang. Oh! Chen Xiang was actually very disappointed, but right at this moment something unexpected happened. Long Huishan suddenly hugged him, and then used the sandalwood mouth to block his mouth, and actually took the initiative to kiss him. But what was even worse, Long Huishan's hand suddenly grabbed onto his chest with great force. In her opinion, it was extremely boring. What made her even more confused was that they had actually been bored for less than an hour. Moreover, they were in this pitch-black and sinister forest, and in the distance, there were even some demons roaring. No matter how she looked at it, it didn't seem like a place to do romantic things. In her opinion, it was extremely boring. What made her even more confused was that they had actually been bored for less than an hour. Moreover, they were in this pitch-black and sinister forest, and in the distance, there were even some demons roaring. No matter how she looked at it, it didn't seem like a place to do romantic things. Is that enough? Long Huishan pushed Chen Xiang away and licked his lip. It's about time. Chen Xiang rubbed his chest. At first, Long Huishan had indeed pinched him very hard, but then she turned into rubbing, and it made him feel extremely comfortable. You guys are really bored. To do this kind of thing, the bath is more suitable. This kind of place is more suitable for fighting and killing. Yuer pouted. Long Huishan laughed. That brat already wanted to do this to me when I was bathing. I am only going to satisfy him. Chen Xiang also laughed. It's Big Sis Long, you wish for me to do this to you, right? As he spoke, Chen Xiang took her hand and used the S.P.A.C. wind to bring her out of the dark forest, to the mountain range that had been razed to the ground. So fast, what is this spell? Long Huishan only felt that when the colorful lights said by, she could feel how fast Chen Xiang was taking her. It was Yuer who taught me the S.P.A.C. wind. I can only learn it by using the power of S.P.A.C. Chen Xiang said. Long Huishan looked at Yuer, stroked her head, and said, "Previously, when Yulan came to find me, she told me about Yuer's little kitten. I didn't expect her to be so powerful." "Oh yes, I heard Yulan mention the matter of you kissing her. This girl actually told Jing Jing and Lingling, these two girls. I'll talk about her later." Chen Xiang blushed deeply. Dongfang Jing and Xin Lingling were very, very innocent girls, yet Ling Yulan actually told them this. Long Huishan carefully observed the scene and frowned. This should be caused by a very strong shockwave. This kind of shockwave can travel to a place far away, and can even travel a long distance. For the queen bug to be able to use this kind of power, it seems like the queen bug also has a tribute power. If that's the case, then the demonic insects that were born should also possess the same familiar strength as the insect queen. Can you still find that bug?" Chen Xiang asked. "Of course, when you kissed me earlier, I started looking for you." Yuer laughed. "Now that we've found it, we can go and have a look. Don't let it disturb the queen bug like last time." Long Huishan had heard from Chen Xiang that Chen Xiang had wanted to test the insect queen's vigilance, but he never thought that her reaction would be so intense. Furthermore, she had even ran away, making it clear that the insect empress was extremely alert. Chen Xiang brought Long Huishan to Yuer's newest location. This time, they were even further away from the Nine Heaven City. He had only arrived there using the S.P.A.C. wind for an hour. This place was also inside the mountain range, but the mountains here were all desolate mountains, without any flowers or trees. The mountains were all very tall and lofty, especially within. If a huge crater appeared, it would not be discovered easily, because this place was a place where very few people came. The divine aura was also extremely it won't be easy to make a move. The insect knows that she is very weak right now, so once someone is nearby, no matter how strong she is, she will choose to leave. Chen Xiang and Long Huishan were at the top of a mountain, and they saw a huge pit in front of them. This pit was just as big as the one Chen Xiang had discovered earlier. In order to not alarm the bugs, Chen Xiang used the S.P.A.C. domain to cover himself and Long Huishan, preventing their auras from leaking out. "Do you know how deep the queen is hiding?" Long Huishan asked. "If I knew the depth, I could have used the mysterious power." Little Moon replied, 80,000 feet. "If that's the case, then you'd better calculate at a depth of 100,000 feet. Chen Xiang, how strong can your S.P.A.C. domain block? I need to condense my mysterious power now. At that time, not only will I need to freeze the insect, I will also need to freeze everything around me, so that we can freeze everything within 100,000 meters of the ground." Long Huishan asked seriously. "That powerful? Would the consumption be very severe?" "I can stop your aura no matter how strong you are," Chen Xiang said with complete confidence. Long Huishan must be 2G. Delay, otherwise she would not willingly give it to Chen Xiang. "Don't worry, I'm 15 divine deity now. Dealing with a bug is too easy. I possess the ancient ice dragon's bloodline after all." Long Huishan lightly patted his face and smiled gently, telling him to be at ease. Long Huishan being able to obtain 15 divine deity also surprised him. He previously thought that Long Huishan only had a dozen or so of these, and it must be because the ice dragon had helped her. Long Huishan said that she needed time to gather her energy, but it did not take her long to finish. In just half a cup of tea's time, a white bead had condensed in her hand. What's next? Chen Xiang asked. Go to the top of the deep hole quietly, then I'll just take this thing down. Long Huishan caught the ice pearl in the water. Chen Xiang had only sensed a trace of icy cold power. It wasn't as terrifying as he had imagined. He brought Long Huishan to the top of the deep pit using the SPAC wind. Long Huishan pointed the ice pearl at the deep pit and let out a light snort. If we don't quickly let the ice drop down, that fellow will have time to run away, Long Huishan said. That was why she had used her full strength to push the ice pearl into the pit. From high up in the sky, Chen Xiang could see that after Long Huishan had entered the deep pit, a gust of cold air had quickly emerged from the deep pit. Furthermore, the ground within 100 miles of the deep pit were covered in cold frost. Thick layers of ice also formed on the walls of the deep pit, and at this moment, terrifying cold air continued to emit from below. So powerful! Chen Xiang took a deep breath. He felt that if he was frozen, he would definitely be severely injured. This is the power of the fusion of the powers of my first and second divine deity. Long Huishan laughed. Are you afraid? Yes, Big Sis Long is so scary. Chen Xiang giggled, then suddenly kissed her on the cheek. There's movement from below. Just as Yue finished speaking, a burst of cold air emerged from Long Huishan's body, transforming into a snow-white ice dragon armor. Long Huishan had already rushed into the deep pit. Using the Dao Heart Eye, he saw that everything below was snow-white. This was the power of the ice that Long Huishan had just frozen the ground with. In the middle of the deep hole, there was something black. He suspected that it was the queen. This thing is way too small. Chen Xiang felt that what he said and what Yue Fu Tiangao had said did not match up, because the bugs they spoke of were huge, like mountains. This isn't an insect queen. Yue also realized that something was amiss as she hurriedly said. Chen Xiang was startled. They had always thought that this thing was the descendant of bugs, but it was not right now. What was it then? And it looked so terrible. Chen Xiang was startled. They had always thought that this thing was the descendant of bugs, but it was not right now. What was it then? And it looked so terrible. Will Big Sis Long be all right? Chen Xiang said as he rushed downwards. Don't worry about her, she's not weak at all. Yue replied. There was originally a queen bug down there, but it suddenly turned into something. Perhaps the queen bug died, but something came out of the queen bug's body. Chen Xiang said. I used my Dao Heart Eye to see a black ma. SS. That is an evil force. What is it? Because the surrounding cave walls had been frozen by Long Huishan and there was only a vast expanse of whiteness below him, when Long Huishan arrived at the bottom, the surrounding ice was still emitting a white glow, illuminating the bottom of the cave. This is... Long Huishan stood on top of a huge black bug. This bug looked like a centipede, with many pairs of THORNY legs. The insect was already frozen, but there was a hole in its head, as if something had run out of the hole and even pierced through the thick ice. Who are you? Just as Long Huishan thought that it was strange, she heard a shout from behind her. She had just turned around, and a sword was suddenly thrusted towards her throat, causing her to hastily sidestep. It has the power of a dragon. He waved the sword in his hand, releasing the ice blades from Long Huishan's hands. He knew very well, if he was hit by this, he would definitely not feel good. Long Huishan had already seen the person clearly. He was actually a white and handsome man with a set of black armor. The long sword in his hand was not an ordinary weapon, and his body was releasing waves after waves of evil spirit qi. You're not from here. Long Huishan had frequently clashed with the evil demons here in the past, but he had never met with anyone as evil as the man in front of him. That's right. Who exactly are you? Is it from the Nine Heavens School? He actually knew that the Nine Heavens School was going to deal with them. But I have never heard of a person like you in the Nine Heavens School. Could it be that you're the female dragon king that just came from the ice dragon race? The man suddenly came to his senses. He did not waste any words. the evil force on his body surged, holding onto his sword. He attacked frantically, the evil chi of the sword gushed out, wielding the sword created a burst of evil chi. The evil chi struck Long Huishan's face, it caused her to feel pain, and after parrying a few slashes, she immediately ran away from the man, because the opponent's evil chi was too terrifying. Was infuriated. The other party actually knew about her, and seemed to have just found out as well. It was very obvious that someone had told him these things, and even without thinking, they already knew that it was Fu Tian School's Fu Tiangao. Chen Xiang had already crept closer. When he came down, he had personally witnessed the process of Long Huishan and the man's battle, and had heard their conversation. At this moment, he was also secretly resentful towards Fu Tiangao. Looks like I have to do something. Chen Xiang took a deep breath, then said to Yue, I had previously used the power of SPAC to bind people, is to release a SPAC barrier that is exactly the same as the other person's body and trap them within this SPAC, making them unable to move. However, I had used a large amount of spatial energy back then to forcefully make it. There was no skill in that. Hearing Chen Xiang's words, Yue understood what Chen Xiang meant. He wanted to ask her if she understood this kind of method, so of course she would understand. This move is called spatial binding. It has a certain skill, and it requires one to know how to use the power of SPAC. Yue immediately used the method of divine soul exchange and transmitted it into his divine soul, allowing him to comprehend it quickly. Chen Xiang had already used it before, so it was easier for him to learn now. How about this, you tie him up first, and then I'll bind him in a layer of SPAC outside. This way, the 2 layers will buy Big Sis Long some time. Yue said. Below, the man was fighting with Long Huishan again. The 2 of them were fighting intensely, and temporarily, they were on par with each other, while Chen Xiang, who was above them, was also blown up by the chi waves produced when they were fighting, causing him to have no choice but to use his spatial energy barrier to separate himself from the surrounding SPAC to prevent any side effects. Cracks had already appeared on the thick ice on the walls of this deep pit, and large amounts of ice were falling down from above. If this continued, then this deep pit would definitely collapse. How's it going? We have to use it as soon as possible. Although Big Sis Long and that guy have a draw, dragging this out won't be good for us because the monsters around here are mostly him, so the other side is probably trying to stall for time for helpers. Yue said. You can use it now. Chen Xiang took a deep breath, and allowed the 6 realms power within the divine sense CS to flow into the spatial divine deity. After Pa's sing through the spatial divine deity, the 6 realms power could instantly transform into a formidable power of SPAC. 6 realms power originally contained powers of other attribute. Although it could be directly used on SPAC, it was not enough to become stronger after being converted by divine deity. Freeze! Chen Xiang shouted in his heart, and a large amount of the condensed spatial energy gushed out, sing through the air and wrapping around the man's body, forming an invisible spatial seal. Furthermore, the 6 realms power in his divine sense C was still steadily plusing out, providing energy, maintaining the spatial seal. Yue had also started her cultivation at this time. When she had awakened her memories, she had already recovered quite a bit of her strength. Don't look at her like this. She had an extremely terrifying power of the stars and moon, and she could also skillfully use the power of the SPAC laws. At this moment, Yue had also used spatial binding, and had shared 2 spatial binding with Chen Xiang, causing the man to be unable to move for a moment. Now, Chen Xiang could also feel that his spatial binding had begun to crack, because the man's strength was extremely terrifying. Long Huishan's reaction was extremely fast. She saw that the other party was suddenly unable to move, and was floating in mid-air. she knew that someone was secretly attacking. She immediately rushed over, and using half of her mysterious power, she condensed onto her blade, and with one slash she chopped off the opponent's head, and then with another palm strike, the headless body and the Divine Sense C separated, leaving behind the Divine Sense C's support. She became extremely weak, and was frozen up by Long Huishan in an instant. After the headless body was frozen, Long Huishan then kicked it with his leg. It was actually a very strong vibrating force that turned the body into ice crystals. Chen Xiang grabbed the severed head from the air and started using soul-absorbing devil spell on it, but right after he used it, his face changed and he quickly let go. Long Huishan looked down at the head curiously. She was worried that something might have happened to Chen Xiang, and cried out in alarm, but she quickly flew up, cut the head into half, and then used the strong icy cold power to freeze it. "Are you all right? What just happened?" Just now, she was also shocked. This was the first time she had seen Chen Xiang encountering such a danger, and it had almost scared her to death. She suddenly realized that she was extremely afraid of losing Chen Xiang. "Are you all right? What just happened?" Just now, she was also shocked. This was the first time she had seen Chen Xiang encountering such a danger, and it had almost scared her to death. She suddenly realized that she was extremely afraid of losing Chen Xiang. "I'm fine." Chen Xiang's forehead dripped with sweat. "This guy is from the Divine Nations, I just got some of his memories." The reason Chen Xiang used the soul-absorbing devil spell just now was to see just what kind of background this person had. "Just now, I suffered a backlash because I wanted to go to his divine deity. This guy protects his divine deity very well, and if I want to take away his divine deity, then his divine deity would become very unstable. After that, it would explode, creating a mental attack that would directly attack the opponent's divine soul." Chen Xiang said with fear still lingering in his heart. He had almost been attacked just now. "Looks like H.E.L. Devil Emperor has support from the Divine Nations. At first we thought that he was abandoned by the Divine Nations, but we never expected that this would only cause us to think that the H.E.L. Devil Emperor was weakened," Long Huishan said. Chen Xiang nodded. He looked at the insect below him and activated Dao Heart Eye, discovering that there was a ball of light inside the insect's body. He used the air to retrieve the thing inside. The thing inside was a crystal the size of a watermelon. "This is great divine deity," Yue said. "This item was refined using a large amount of divine deity, and it is very pure." With a single glance, one could tell that the energy inside was extremely pure. "This guy came out from the back of the bug's head," Long Huishan said. "The Divine Nations has already found a way to control the insect. They want a person to directly enter the Insect Queen's Divine Sense C and turn them into the Insect Queen's Divine Soul. Then, they can control the Insect Queen's evil insects. In order to assimilate into the Insect Queen's Divine Sense C, the person who enters the Divine Sense C must cultivate an evil force that is similar to the Insect Queen." Chen Xiang looked at the huge divine deity in his hands and continued, "This divine deity was refined by the Divine Nations and the others to quickly raise the strength of the insect, allowing the Insect Queen to have the power to protect herself in the initial stages." Chen Xiang learnt all of this from the man's memories. Long Huishan was still here, and it was already late at night, but she was still waiting in the hall. Because the Bug Queen was very powerful, she was very worried about Chen Xiang and Long Huishan. "How is it?" LV Qilian saw that Chen Xiang and Long Huishan's faces were not as pale as when he went out. "Are you injured?" "I'm fine." Long Huishan sat down. "I've made a big discovery," Chen Xiang said. "The Insect Empress's matter isn't as simple as we thought it was. It's extremely complicated and was made by the Divine Nations." Chen Xiang told LV Qilian everything he knew. Currently, the 3 bugs that surrounded and attacked 9 Heaven City were all bred in the first batch, and all of them had a rather strong evil demon inside. Chen Xiang took out the divine deity he took out from the insect empress's body and continued, in order for divine nations to cultivate this kind of thing, it also requires a lot of energy, so this kind of thing definitely cannot be produced in large quantities. This made Chen Xiang more at ease. If there were a lot of them and they were still hiding, then when they attacked together, it would be difficult for them to resist. Now that the divine nations had created a few of these things, they could be used to support the HEL Devil Emperor. At the same time, he wanted to see how effective they were. That Fu Tiangao should be in contact with the HEL Devil Emperor at all times, and the people hiding inside the Insect Empress Divine Sense C can also receive any news from the HEL Devil Emperor. That's why they found out that I had just come to the Nine Heaven School. Long Huishan said, "Are you all prepared to deal with that brat? Don't let him get away." Gu Dongchen has already told him. Because of the urgent situation, he is preparing to attack the evil demons outside, and needs support. In order to show off, he had to go find him in the middle of the night. The elite disciples of the Fu Tian school will arrive tomorrow. LV Chilian said, "I left the array disk with Gu Dongchen and the others. They are already arranging the receiving location. When that time comes, we will start the slaughter." "Are you going?" Long Huishan asked Chen Xiang. "No, I'm going to cultivate." Chen Xiang raised the great divine deity he had just obtained. He felt that this object was very suitable for his cultivation and just needed to be refined. Long Huishan smiled at LV Chilian. "Chilian, this brat told me that he hasn't touched a woman in a long time and it has been a few days since he came back. Didn't you all agree to not letting this brat touch me?" "Humph, he hasn't touched a woman for a long time. Why are you telling me that? Can't you just let him touch you?" LV Chilian said snappily, and then glared at Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang was surprised that Long Huishan would actually tell LV Chilian this kind of thing. Although this was what LV Chilian said on the surface, she had already stood up and entered a room. When she entered, she gave Chen Xiang a dubious glance. "Good little brother, how are you going to thank me?" Long Huishan laughed. Chen Xiang handed Yuer over to Long Huishan and charmingly smiled at her. "You'll know in the future." Yuer saw Chen Xiang hurriedly entering LV Chilian's room, and hearing the sounds coming from inside, she stuck out her tongue and said, "When I was at Super God Realm, he was always in the room naked with Feng Yujie. It was so boring." Long Huishan was shocked. "What? Feng Yujie? I actually fell in love with him too, this little brat. I have underestimated him." Yuer smiled. "He was originally a wolf, but in front of all of you, he was pretending to be a little sheep. In his eyes, all of you are little white rabbits." Inside the room, Chen Xiang and LV Chilian had just reunited after a long time. At this moment, they both felt their love, and felt the happiness from their bodies and minds merging together. At the same time, they also cultivated the alive slain method, and condensed the crystal of their love. Big Sis Long, you also cultivate the icy cold power, and your control over it is superb. If you can also master the ice-cold law, then you will definitely be very strong." Yuer said, "After all, you still have the bloodline of the ancient divine dragon race in you." Long Huishan nodded his head. "Shui Yi, who has mastered the laws of ice, is even more powerful. It's a pity that it's not easy to grasp the laws." "That's not necessarily true. After you return to the Hundreds of Flowers village, find Bingyan and have her give you a Dao Heart Stone. At that time, even if you can't grasp the laws of ice, you can still obtain the profound strength of the way of ice through this," Yuer said. "However, you have to repay Bingyan and teach her the techniques to use the icy cold power." Long Huishan did not doubt Yuer's words. She had heard Ling Yulan and Mu Qianxiang say before that Shui Bingyan had an extremely powerful stone that, after being used by the Supreme God, could allow him to gain power that was close to controlling the laws. This is for sure. I often share with Shui the way I use the power of ice. When I go to Hundreds of Flowers village, I will definitely carefully teach Bing Yen, and I will definitely treat her as a sister. Although I have not seen her before, I have heard it from Yulan and Qianxiang. Long Huishan gently stroked Yuer, who was lying on her lap, as she also gradually fell in love with this mysterious little white cat. After successfully killing one insect, he had allowed Chun Xiang and the others to obtain more useful things. At the same time, he had also made Chun Xiang realize that his current strength was extremely weak. After successfully killing one insect, he had allowed Chun Xiang and the others to obtain more useful things. At the same time, he had also made Chun Xiang realize that his current strength was extremely weak. After obtaining the great divine deity, he entered the Hundreds of Flowers village and went inside the dragon vein. He wanted to refine the great divine deity into a pellet. There are a lot of methods to create a heavenly alchemy. There must be a way to refine this great divine deity into a divine deity that can fuse with my own. Chun Xiang urgently needed to condense his divine deity now. As long as he had more divine deity, his divine sense C's power would become even stronger. Chun Xiang suddenly had a flash of inspiration. I have refined a bone-level Dan inside the divine sense C before. If I can refine the divine deity like I would refine pills, and fuse it with my divine sense C, then I won't need to cultivate the divine deity so hard. Congealing divine deity gave Chun Xiang a huge headache, especially when his cultivation method was different from others. It was harder for him to condense divine deity. In the past, only by condensing divine soul would I be able to cultivate divine deity, but if I were to use the method of refining pellets, maybe I would be able to condense divine soul after cultivating divine deity. Chun Xiang already possessed 3 fairly useful innate abilities, which were enough for him to use. For the time being, he did not need to cultivate any other innate abilities, so he could just condense his divine deity directly. He sat in the secret room inside the dragon vein and looked at the incomparably pure great divine deity in his hands. Afterwards, he injected the power of creation into it, and at the same time, he also used the method of heavenly alchemy to fuse the pure energy within the great divine deity with the power of creation. This way, the great divine deity could be assimilated by the power of creation, becoming a power that could produce Chuangzhao Fire S in the future. It works! Chun Xiang tried it out and was extremely happy. He decided to use this method to refine his divine deity into a finished product before he associated it with his divine sense C. It was also at this time that Chun Xiang suddenly thought of something. Divine deity are formed from the fusion of various types of energies, which is to say, I can refine divine deity inside the pill furnace. Divine deity are pills formed by living beings inside the divine sense C. If I can complete them in the cauldron, my speed will definitely be even faster. If this method was feasible, then it would greatly increase the speed at which he condensed divine deity, and could even directly complete various types of divine deity in the pill furnace. But the condition was that he needed a method to refine divine deity, which would definitely need all kinds of precious medicinal pellets that contained all kinds of energy and also ingredients that could continuously evolve. I'll begin the 4th divine deity. After Chun Xiang returned from the Super God realm, he felt that he had suffered a huge blow. Although no one would say that he was weak, he was clear that everyone thought that he was an alchemist, and that there was no need for him to be strong. He did not need to fight all over, as long as he was concocting pills quietly. Chun Xiang originally thought so too, but the current situation was beyond his control. He would have to roll up his sleeves and do it himself many times, so to become a powerful alchemist, he would need to possess extremely strong strength to ensure his safety. When they were entering, Chun Xiang had told Yuer that he would ask Yuer to bring them to the nest of the Bug Queen. If possible, He wanted them to retrieve the great divine deity as soon as possible. It's getting more and more difficult to condense divine deity, because divine deity is constantly increasing. Chen Xiang couldn't help but sigh. When he first condensed his divine deity, he was already very weak, but now he had already grown very strong. In other words, the fourth divine deity he condensed needs to be at the same level as the other three, or maybe even stronger than the other three. He estimated the strength of the three divine deities in his body, and then, feeling completely at ease, he took out the medicinal furnace and placed the great divine deity inside it. After refining the great divine deity, it would be enough to become his fourth. We will first use the pill furnace to refine it small, then put it into the divine sense C to refine. The current divine deity was extremely large, and needed to be compressed. When compressed, it would cause the mysterious power inside the divine deity to explode, and when compressed, it would become very unstable, and could easily explode. It was very dangerous to put it into the divine sense C when it was unstable. He might have used the heavenly alchemy to refine divine deity multiple times, but it was different this time. In the past, he had refined the divine deity into pills to eat, and he had obtained a large amount of energy that he could not absorb from within. Right now, even a little of the mysterious power would not be removed. Instead, after being compressed and refined, the quality would still increase by leaps and bounds, so he felt that his fourth divine deity would be very strong. In order to refine the great divine deity, he had to first compress it into a qi state like when refining pills. Now, he needed to compress the great divine deity into qi state, and then compress it again. This was Chen Xiang's first time refining this kind of divine deity. He had no experience at all, and the mysterious power that he needed to condense was extremely vast. After I leave, I'll have Meng Er make a pill furnace. If it was a normal pill cultivating, he could use any kind of pill furnace, but right now he couldn't practice normal pill refining and had to refine such a strong divine deity. Although it was difficult, Chen Xiang had faced many difficult problems over the years, and they were all overcome by him. The originally trembling pill furnace, under his hard work, calmed down and the pill furnace started to gather energy from the inside. One of the benefits of refining pills in the dragon's vein was that he could absorb the boundless divine energy from the dragon's vein while refining pills to replenish his rapid consumption. This way, he wouldn't need to consume pills to replenish his energy. Chen Xiang refined continuously for 3 days and 3 nights without a break, and he consumed a lot of energy at every second. Without this supplement, it would be hard for him to persevere on. This is really killing me. Chen Xiang opened the pill furnace and took out the fist-sized divine deity. The previously crystal-clear divine deity had now been refined into a silver-white color by him. This was because when he was refining, he had been using a large number of Chuangzhao fire to simulate it. After resting for a long time and allowing him to return to his peak condition, he began the second stage of the refinement. This was to allow his divine deity to be refined in the divine sense C. This great divine deity was originally very big, but now that it had shrunk to the size of a fist, not only did it not weaken in the slightest, it even condensed into a single ma. Causing the quality to greatly increase. And the second stage of refinement was to make this divine deity shrink even further. He placed this divine deity inside the divine sense C, then released the magic method furnace inside the divine sense C, and started the second stage of refinement. Other people's divine deity were all created through hard work, but Chen Xiang himself had cultivated it through hard work. He felt that since he was an alchemist, his own divine deity should be refined just like pill refining. Chen Xiang began to refine the second stage, which was much longer than the first stage. Although the difficulty of the second stage was extremely high, the reason he was refining the pellet was only to reduce the risk. It was extremely dangerous for him to shrink the divine deity to such a small size in the divine sense sea, and it was also not beneficial for him to fuse them. Chen Xiang began to refine the second stage, which was much longer than the first stage. Although the difficulty of the second stage was extremely high, the reason he was refining the pellet was only to reduce the risk. It was extremely dangerous for him to shrink the divine deity to such a small size in the divine sense sea, and it was also not beneficial for him to fuse them. I have to refine this divine deity so that it can produce a sense of familiarity with me. This way, when the melted energy converges, it will be my fourth divine deity. The second stage was to throw the fist-sized divine deity into the divine sense sea to fuse, and then condense it into an even smaller divine deity. This was because the previous fusion had occurred within the divine sense sea, and when he assembled it, it was equivalent to his own fourth divine deity. Originally, he could have done it in one go because it was his first time trying it out. In order to be complete, he divided it into 2 steps, and once he got used to it, he would resolve it in one go. After all, this was related to the safety of his divine sense sea, so he had to be careful. After the divine deity was melted, Chen Xiang used the powerful mysterious power to wrap it up, and then soaked it in the peaceful divine sense sea. He also let the divine soul within his other 3 divine deity release a trace of soul power to establish a connection with the ball of divine deity. I wonder if it will work. Chen Xiang patiently waited. Once he succeeded in establishing a good connection between this ball of divine deity, which had taken the form of Qi, and the other 3, he would be able to combine them. As long as he succeeded, he would be able to condense his fourth divine deity. Fortunately, Chen Xiang only needed to control the mysterious power to wrap that ball of divine deity up. He didn't need to do anything too tiring, and could patiently wait. In merely 7 days of time, Chen Xiang had sensed that the other 3 pellets had established a connection with the ball of divine deity, which meant that he could now begin to gather them. He had originally thought that it would take 1 to 2 months before those 3 divine deities would approve of this ball of external divine deity, and now, it had only been a short 7 days. The last step. Chen Xiang let that ball of divine deity float from the divine sense sea, then he released the magic method furnace from the divine sense sea and began to gather this ball of divine deity. This meant that he had 2 Chuangzhao fire divine deities. In the future, when he released the Chuangzhao fire, the quant. 1. Tai and strength of the 6 realms power that he released would greatly increase after Pas. Sing through these 2 divine deities. Originally, when he was going to transform the 6 realms power into a Chuangzhao fire, there was only one path he could take, but now that there were 2 paths at the same time, after plussing out and then converging them, he could become even faster. He needed Chuangzhao fire to refine pills, so he needed to condense more divine deity that could increase his flames. As the ball of divine deity that had turned into a gaseous state had already been assimilated by his divine sense sea, and had established a connection with the other 3 divine deity, he was no longer as irritable as before. All right. Chen Xiang shouted excitedly in his heart. The 4th divine deity had already been condensed. This was the Chuangzhao fire's divine deity, and it was still strong, so what he needed to do now was to condense a divine soul inside. In 11 days, the 4th divine deity has been successfully condensed. Chen Xiang opened his eyes and laid on the ground. One must know that he had only condensed the 3rd divine deity earlier, and it wasn't long before the 4th divine deity was 90% complete. This kind of speed was already ridiculously fast, but he was still an alchemist, treating his own divine deity like a pill refining. I'm still short of divine soul. In the past, he would only condense divine deity after cultivating divine soul, but now it was the opposite. I need to train my divine soul seriously as well. This divine deity has a lot of meaning to me. Chen Xiang took out the fire Qilin chain. He felt around a bit, and saw that the inside contained Divine Deity S and Divine Soul, but Divine Soul was an extremely terrifying fire attribute Divine Soul. For the time being, he did not know what kind of Divine Soul it was, but he felt that it would be beneficial for him in helping the fourth Divine Deity to manifest. Alright, first take a good look at what the Divine Soul of this fire Qilin chain is. Chen Xiang tried to sense it with his heart, but not long after, he saw a fire unicorn suddenly roar, and it was a purple Qilin, emitting purple flames all over its body. This! Chen Xiang was shocked. His eyes opened wide as he looked at the Qilin fire chain that had suddenly turned purple. Earlier, he had not only discovered the purple-colored Qilin Divine Soul, he was also surprised because there were actually 9 sets of Divine Deity inside. It was just that the inside of the Divine Deity was missing a single set of Divine Soul. He took a closer look at the other divine weapons and discovered that other than the Profound clothing, the rest all had 9 Divine Deity. At the beginning, the Profound clothing had been damaged, but later on it had 1 Divine Deity and 1 Divine Soul, becoming extremely strong. As expected of something refined by the Heavenly Divine Lord. There are actually 9 strange Divine Deity S inside. Chen Xiang felt that it was a pity that the Profound clothing was so heavily damaged, and had lost so much of its Divine Deity. He placed the fire Qilin chain inside the Divine Sense C to make the fire Qilin chain shrink a little, and wrapped around the fourth Divine Deity. He hoped that the fourth Divine Deity would be affected by the purple Qilin Divine Soul and produce a similar level of Divine Soul. The process of condensing Divine Soul was a bit long. Chen Xiang felt that in the future, he would also need to refine the same type of Divine Soul as the Great Divine Deity. Chuangzhou Fire has a very strong regenerative ability. Right now, after absorbing a large amount of divine power from the dragon vein, coupled with the influence of the fire Qilin chain, it should be very easy to condense Divine Soul. Chen Xiang used the heavenly alchemy, and quickly absorbed the energy from the dragon vein to condense the Divine Soul. In just 2 days of time, he suddenly discovered that a dot had appeared within the fourth Divine Deity. Using his Tao Heart Eye to look, he discovered that this dot was formed from purple energy and it could even move. What's going on? It looks like a baby. Chen Xiang was a little surprised. If that was really the case, then his Divine Soul embryo had already appeared. The Divine Soul in its final form was similar to a human's, and it had flesh and blood. When Chen Xiang had first cultivated the Divine Soul, he had already gone through this long process, and the Divine Soul that he cultivated afterwards became much easier, allowing him to grow to a mature and perfect state very quickly. After another day, the Divine Soul within the fourth Divine Deity was already very obvious. It could be seen that it was a very small infant, only that there was a layer of faint purple-colored mist surrounding the outside. Chen Xiang continued to cultivate. A few days later, he checked again, and what surprised him was that his Divine Soul had already reached the level of an adult, and his body was even wearing a set of purple armor with some patterns on it. It was actually carved with fire unicorn S, and it looked extremely beautiful. To think that Divine Soul would actually look like this. Chen Xiang suddenly had another idea. He wanted to mainly cultivate 5 different types of supernatural powers, which was 5 main Divine Soul. This was because he had 5 powerful divine weapons. Chen Xiang had already decided to do this. This also meant that the 3 Divine Soul that he had previously cultivated needed to undergo a new round of cultivation. Of course, he did not plan to erase this possibility from the beginning. Chen Xiang had already decided to do this. This also meant that the 3 Divine Soul that he had previously cultivated needed to undergo a new round of cultivation. Of course, he did not plan to erase this possibility from the beginning. His plan was to let the 3 Divine Soul undergo an increase in power. 5 main Divine Deity, and these 5 divine deity and these 5 divine weapons are linked together. In the future, the internal divine deity of the divine weapons, together with the divine deity in my divine sense C, will certainly be even more terrifying. Chen Xiang was excited just thinking about it, because it would make him stronger. Of course, he was an alchemist, and he planned to use the method of refining pills. Heavenly alchemy could be refined in a variety of situations, and it could also be used for refining many things, and what he was most familiar with was refining pills. 4 divine deities. Chen Xiang teleported from the dragon vein. Ling Yulan saw that Chen Xiang's expression was not bad, and had a cheerful smile on his face, and asked, "Old brother, you have only been in closed-door cultivation for 10 days, are you unable to sit still anymore?" Ling Yulan was dressed in a battle attire with white armor and 2 large swords in her hands. She seemed to be very excited, and Chen Xiang knew that she must be very excited to be able to fight a big battle. "What's going on outside?" Chen Xiang tapped on the hard white armor on her shoulder. "The insects have all been killed, and the H.E.L. Devil Emperor has made a contract with us." Ling Yulan laughed. "These guys actually sent 3 representatives to challenge us, saying that as long as we win against them, they will immediately retreat, and not come out to do evil for the next 10 years. Chen Xiang frowned. "What if we lose?" "If we lose, we have to give them 10 billion Xin yuan stone." Ling Yulan snorted lightly. "These fellows must be crazy and poor. This won't do, we'll lose too much." "We lost, they obtained 10 billion Xin yuan stone, but they lost and they just left. They don't have any risk." Chen Xiang was an alchemist. He often traded elixirs, and could be considered a businessman. If it was him, he would definitely not agree to this kind of thing. Ling Yulan said, "There's no other way, this is what Gu Dongchen and the others have decided. If you want to know the specifics, you can ask them. I also know that this matter is not that simple, they are not idiots, they must have other thoughts." "You have been arranged to fight." Seeing how excited Ling Yulan was, Chen Xiang asked. "Yes, they requested that it be a battle of 6 divine deity, at most, it should not exceed 6 divine deity," said. It was very difficult to condense the 6th divine deity, which was a stage of dividing mountains and water. Amongst the gods, there weren't many with 9 divine deity, and in order to attack 10 of them, most of them had been in closed-doors cultivation for many years. And what had just formed 6 divine deity was at its most active moment, most suitable for such extreme battles. "I'll go ask Gu Dongchen." Chen Xiang had too many doubts in his heart. LV Qilian and Long Huishan, who knew the truth, were not here. He could only teleport to the 100 Flowers Hall. Only Yen Xilan was there, so she did not understand much about it. "Where is he?" Chen Xiang only saw Wu Caming here. "You already went to train the little ghost. You probably don't know yet, right?" Wu Caming also knew that Chen Xiang had gone in for closed-door cultivation. "You came out so quickly, are you in closed-door cultivation to refine pills?" Chen Xiang shook his head. "No, I know you have agreed to H.E.L. Devil Emperor's conditions, and we will be sending 3 people over to Partik. 1 P8, right?" Wu Caming nodded his head and laughed. "Right now we are just worrying about this matter. We have already sent about 6 divine deities worth of people to register, and 3 will definitely emerge. Do you want to go and try?" Chen Xiang found it funny, because when he saw Ling Yulan's excited look, he thought Ling Yulan had already been chosen. The selection battle had not even started, yet she thought that she had won, and she was as confident as ever. "I will go too. H.E.L. Devil Emperor will definitely be very happy to see me." Chen Xiang laughed. "Is the agreement you made with him reliable?" "Don't worry, we aren't idiots," Wu Caming said. "Even though this solution seems to be a little disadvantageous to us, but at the moment, if we can exchange it for 10 years of peace, it would be a very good development for us. You must know, the power behind the underworld gate is very strong. It is definitely not something that we can go head to head with. If they were to fight with the H.E.L. Devil Emperor head-on, then it would take many years, and the Nine Heaven world would be completely annihilated. At that time, when the Super God realm was also merged with the Super God realm, it would be much easier for the 9 Gods nation to take action, and he could control the Nine Heaven world. Have you guys sent anyone to contact the Heavenly Divine Palace? Chen Xiang now also understood why Gu Dongchen and the others agreed to this condition. No matter if they won or lost, it would stop H.E.L. Devil Emperor from messing around with them. In the long run, it would benefit the entire Nine Heaven world. Yes, the great Divine Lord has told us that he will not interfere in this matter for the time being, because if he interferes, the experts of the divine nations hidden here will make a move as well. The Nine Heaven world will immediately become their battlefield. Wu Kaming said, 9 Gods nation does have a lot of things to do right now, so they will try their best to avoid starting a war with Great Divine Lord. There was a lot of chaos within the countries of the 9 Gods nation. All of their power had been dispersed, and there was no time to worry about the Nine Heaven world. They could only arrange for a few people to take responsibility for it. Oh right, are you sure you want to partake? 1P8? You're not joking around, right? I have to say, there are quite a few outstanding seedlings right now. Don't lose too badly at that time. Wu Kaming laughed. Let's talk about the hundreds of flowers village. Those girls are not weak either. The corner of Chen Xiang's mouth rose as he smiled. Little Baldy, you're underestimating me too much. Don't think that just because I have too little divine deity that I can be easily bullied, and even more so, don't think that I'm just fooling around doing alchemy all day. Wu Kaming laughed. I have not underestimated you. If I had used any unconventional methods, I think that I would have been tortured to the point that there would not even be dust left, but in the compet. 1. Tian that is governed by the rules. If you did not use any of those tricks, it would have been very restrictive on you. In the past, many rankers didn't even know how they died at Chen Xiang's hands, so Wu Kaming had no doubts about Chen Xiang's strength, but he understood that it was Chen Xiang who used underhanded methods. If it was an open and honorable battle, Chen Xiang would not have any chance of winning. Of course, Junior Marshal Uncle, if you go for the alchemy compet, 1 Tian, we'll give you a spot. But for this fight, you should leave it to those kids who have been through special training all year round. They're more adept, Wu Kaming said again. He had originally planned to speak without thinking with Chen Xiang, but he didn't expect Chen Xiang to really go. No, tell me a name, I must go, Chen Xiang said firmly. Wu Kaming knew that he had made a mistake, because Chen Xiang was someone who would not admit defeat. His words just now had provoked Chen Xiang. Seeing how determined he was, Wu Kaming secretly regretted his decision. He should not have provoked Chen Xiang, but he was worried that he would lose during the extreme fighting. Seeing how determined he was, Wu Kaming secretly regretted his decision. He should not have provoked Chen Xiang, but he was worried that he would lose during the extreme fighting. Remember to help me register. If you're not there, hee. Chen Xiang laughed sinisterly, and then left the city lord's mansion, walking alone inside it. Since H.E.L. Devil Emperor had already made a promise with Gu Dongchen and the others, then what they needed to do now was to make preparations for the upcoming battle. In order to select even more outstanding candidates, there would be a compet. 1 Tian. When that time came, Gu Dongchen and the others, as the referees, would also be able to find outstanding seedlings to train them. Chen Xiang was aimlessly walking on the busy street. His mind was not on the compet. 1 Tian, but on how to refine divine deity S through pill refinement. He needed to create a method to condense divine deity S. Previously, he had used the method of refining pills to quickly cultivate the fourth divine deity. After tasting the sweetness, he wanted to continue cultivating it even more. You can cultivate divine deity by consuming various divine pellets, and the only thing you need to do is to refine and fuse the medicinal power of the divine pellet. However, the process is extremely slow and the efficiency is also very low. Chen Xiang felt that he could directly refine the various divine pellets that raised his strength, and then refine them into divine deity. He could do this, but it would take a very long time. The large divine deity he obtained from killing the bugs, and also required the divine nations to spend a lot of time and resources to condense it. Chen Xiang strolled through the city until it was night, then returned to the 100 Flowers Pavilion, where Long Huishan was also present. "Where's Sister Qilian?" Chen Xiang asked. He wanted to ask LV Qilian something. "She knows how to teach Yulan and Qianxiang." Long Huishan said, "In 10 days, he will compete with that little demon for those 3 spots. You should have heard of this matter." Chen Xiang nodded his head, and he had also partook. 1. P. Aided, so it was clear that Long Huishan and the others did not know about his registration. "What about Fu Tian School's Fu Tiangao? Did he succeed in killing him?" asked. Setting up a trap to kill off all of the Fu Tian School's was an extremely secretive matter, and Yan Xilan might not even know about it. No, Fu Tiangao and his father escaped, but the more than 4,000 disciples they sent over all died in the killing array. Long Huishan shook his head. "That Fu Tian School is very strong. His strength has far exceeded our expectations, even under such circumstances he was still able to bring his son and run away." "Then after killing the bugs, did you get the great divine deity?" Chen Xiang asked again. He really liked this kind of thing. "I didn't get it, and I don't know why we didn't discover that kind of great divine deity. Could it be that only the first insect does?" Long Huishan had also partook. 1. P. Aided in the battle after killing the bug. She knew that Chen Xiang desperately needed the great divine deity, so she had paid attention to it at that time. This caused Chen Xiang to frown. If there was only that bug queen, then it meant that the great divine deity was even harder to condense than he had imagined. Even the resources and power grasped by the divine nations would be difficult to achieve. He had originally planned to study how the great divine deity was refined carefully. "When can we compete with Hel Devil Emperor and the rest?" Chen Xiang saw that everyone was not so nervous. There was still time for the compet. 1. Tian. 1 month later, we are worried that someone from the divine nations will help them carry out a compet. 1. Tian. Long Huishan said, "That's why I am sending all of my outstanding disciples here." Chen Xiang laughed. "Big Sis Long, do you think that if I were to partook 1. P. 8 in the selection 2, I would be able to compete for those 3 spots?" Yan Xilan, who had been standing quietly at the side, laughed. "Do you even need to say that? You can definitely fight for it." Long Huishan also laughed. "That's true, this little demon is hiding his strength well, even though he is extremely well hidden from us. You too have such confidence in me. To think that this little baldy Wu Kaming was actually worried that I would lose during the selection," Chen Xiang said with gratitude. Yan Xilan chuckled. "His worries are not without reason, because at that time all of the partook 1. P. ants will be using their full power, and they cannot use any other means, which would require a lot of publicity. You have always been giving people the impression that you have a lot of tricks up your sleeves, and it's also because the time between Super G O.D. realm and here is different, which is why you have to come back, losing a lot of time, and your cultivation level hasn't reached the boundary of the 6th divine deity yet. It's normal for him to not look favorably on you." Chen Xiang touched Yan Xilan's jade face. "My Lysis is not bad, then why do you think so highly of me?" When Long Huishan saw that Chen Xiang had made a move on Yan Xilan, he knew that Yan Xilan was also his man. "Because you cultivate in the taboo magic, so during the compet 1. Tian, there is no limit to how much you can use these taboo magic, and many people do not even know much about these taboo magic. Even we do not know much about the might of the taboo magic that you cultivate in. Yen Xilan said, although I have seen you use it before, it is full of different kinds of things. Long Huishan nodded his head and said, the strong thing about taboo magic is that it has a very big effect. For example, your G.O.D. murdering sword techniques is different from W.A.N.G. genes. H.I+S., but the heavenly alchemy is even more difficult to say. You just said before, only you have comprehended it the deepest, and the things that they have comprehended are very shallow. Yen Xilan laughed. Wu Kaming is worried that your heroic name will be ruined in this election, that's why he said that to you. But come to think of it, you really plan to partake. 1p8. Chen Xiang crossed his legs and laughed. The two of you aren't worried about this, are you? Long Huishan and Yen Xilan were silent for a while. They understood Chen Xiang's methods very well. If Chen Xiang used all of his skills, even if he was 2G. delay, they would probably be killed by him. But if it was an open and honorable compet, Tian, it would be hard to say. In their eyes, Chen Xiang only had 3 divine deity. In addition to that, perhaps he could also barely compete with the 6 divine deities which were at his limits. That's not it. I heard that you have cultivated bones, adding that you are using the taboo magic during battle. There is no problem if you want to win against the 6th divine deity. Long Huishan said. Chen Xiang had experienced so many battles, just the ACCU. Mulad fighting aura and rich experience was not something that a young person could compare with. Chen Xiang laughed. I have already partook. 1p. aided in it, but I will only tell the two of you, don't mention it to Yulan and Qianxiang. They have always wanted to compete with me. At that time I will give them a surprise, and also teach them a lesson. Yen Xilan was a little surprised. Ah, you really partook. 1p. aided in it. If H.E.L. Devil Emperor knew, he would definitely be happy to death. He really wanted to kill you. At that time, he would definitely do everything he could to find the strongest 6th divine deity to fight you. Chen Xiang wasn't really worried about this. Many people only knew that he had grasped the 2 taboo magic the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques and the heavenly alchemy. After all, it was easy to expose when using it, and it was difficult to conceal. Chen Xiang wasn't really worried about this. Many people only knew that he had grasped the 2 taboo magic the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques and the heavenly alchemy. After all, it was easy to expose when using it, and it was difficult to conceal. However, the 2 divine arts of the heavenly spirit Kung Fu and the 6 realms magic Kung Fu were well hidden by him. The 6 realms magic Kung Fu helped him cultivate and create a strong 6 realms power, while the heavenly spirit Kung Fu allowed him to develop his celestial phenomenon ability. Big Sis Long, Bing Yen has come out. You can go and have a good talk with her now. Yue suddenly flew over and said with a smile, Bing Yen will teach you how to grasp the power of the ice laws. Shui Bing Yen had the Tao Heartstone. So long as it was a small pellet, it could bring a lot of benefits to a person. At that time, Chen Xiang had also given some to Feng Yujie, and when Feng Yujie returned to Hundreds of Flowers village, he had also distributed quite a bit. Long Huishan nodded, then said to Chen Xiang, when the time comes, I'll try my best to come out of seclusion and quickly support you. Hearing Long Huishan's words, Yue immediately understood that Chen Xiang was also partook. 1p. aiding in the selection compet. 1 Tian. After Long Huishan left, Chen Xiang asked, Sister Zilan, are there any training rooms here? Yes, deep underground. I'll take you there. Yen Xilan naturally hoped that the man he loved would become stronger. I need you to guide me when the time comes. Chen Xiang carried Yue and followed behind Yen Xilan. They quickly arrived at the underground training room. Yen Xilan warned Chen Xiang to pay attention to the time, then walked out and closed the door. Yue flew around Chen Xiang once and said in shock, "How did you create the fourth divine deity? You just managed to cultivate the third divine deity not long ago." Last time when Chen Xiang was training the third divine deity, Yue was the one who was giving him pointers. Yue remembered it very clearly, and not too long after, Chen Xiang created a set of divine deity. I fused with that great divine deity, and then I used the Qilin fire chain to cultivate my divine soul. Chen Xiang said, "When I was fusing with the great divine deity, I used the method of me refining the pellet. The specifics are a bit complicated, but in short, this is my new method. It's just that I didn't think that the Bug Empress would no longer have great divine deity. What a pity. Even if it fuses with that great divine deity, isn't that a little too fast?" Yue, who came from the Star Law Divine Realm, found this unbelievable as well, and it was only 10 odd days ago. "Alright, this is a technique you just created. It should be related to the heavenly alchemy, right?" Chen Xiang nodded his head. "I am preparing to partake. 1. P. 8 in the selection. I need to master some techniques or methods to use bones. I do not have much understanding towards bones, of course. I mainly use them to deal with L Devil Emperor." Yue of course knew about the selection, because the Hundreds of Flowers village had been picking people to partake 1p8 in it in the past few days and also through compet 1 tie-ins. When the time comes, your 2 younger sisters will partake 1p8. Aren't you afraid of hurting their hearts? Yue laughed. "You might be soft-hearted when the time comes. It's not like I've never hit them before." Chen Xiang laughed. "Don't worry about that. If I meet them, I must defeat them so they won't think that I, their brother, need their protection." "Oh right, will Xian partake 1p8? Chen Xiang asked. "No, the beauties who forge equipment and refine pills don't like fighting, but they don't look weak either," Yue said. These days, she had been the darling of the Hundreds of Flowers village, and they got to know each other very well. "Let's get down to business. The divine soul that you fused with is the star-swallowing divine cows, and this guy can also be considered to be from the star-moon divine race. He must definitely have a very powerful star-moon within his divine soul, so the bones technique that I use is suitable," Yue said. "I suggest that you integrate all of your bones into the star-moon divine soul in the future so that you can use my technique. In the future, I will teach you the divine star-moon art so that you can absorb the power of the star-moon." "Yue, you are so kind. Thank you so much." Chen Xiang rubbed her face. "I'm very grateful to you as well. If it wasn't for you saving me, I might still be serving as a sacrifice right now." Yue laughed. Yue entered Chen Xiang's divine sense Si and Pas, said her bones technique to him, allowing him to familiarize himself with her first. "The bones and methods I use are reserved and insidious," Moonchild said. "In other words, when you attack, there won't be any aura. Only when you attack the enemy will it be effective. Strength is also the type that belongs to the Yin attribute. If you do not hit, then you will not need to use up your energy. You are training in the 6 realms power, so through the transformation of the 6 realms power, the power that you unleash will become even more terrifying." Yue said. "Divine power of the cold moon." Chen Xiang muttered, and then used this technique to circulate the 6 realms power in his body, and when it flowed into his fist, it released a faint light, just like moonlight. Yes, this is an ice-cold power, but it will not directly freeze the surface of the enemy. For example, if you hit the body of the enemy, the cold power will be able to instantly pierce through their air filth, or even freeze their bone and blood. Yue replied, "Of course it's not just the effects of the cold, because the power of your bones is already very frightening. This cold energy is only supplementary." Chen Xiang nodded his head. Even if he did not use 6 realms power directly using his fists against it would still be able to unleash a very terrifying power. If his bones and 6 realms power were to work together, the power would be even more terrifying. If you want to be a little more violent, then use the meteor immortal power, Yuer said. Chen Xiang tried using the technique that Yuer had just taught him, and as he rolled up the sleeves of his left arm, he only saw a wave of energy that caused his skin to bulge out. Come here. Seeing that the power was about to burst out of his fist, Chen Xiang anxiously controlled it, otherwise it would cause a big commotion. I really didn't expect that after using it, Bones and Bones would actually absorb a large portion of 6 realms power so fiercely. After Pious sing through the bones, that surge of 6 realms power shot out of the fist like a meteor. The power it released must be very sharp, Chen Xiang exclaimed and was secretly overjoyed. Chen Xiang grasped it very quickly, especially the meteor immortal power just now. He used it several times in a row, and the power he used each time became greater and greater. What's going on? It's actually hotter than before, Yuer exclaimed. You don't seem to be directly using the 6 realms power, Chen Xiang said as he nodded his head. No, the divine deity that I have condensed just now is Flame Divine Deity. I now have 2 Flame Divine Deity. I want the 6 realms power to first pass through 2 Flame Divine Deity and transform it into firepower, and then let the bones absorb it and transform it into meteor immortal power. So that's how it is. It's pretty good to use it like this, Yuer replied. These 2 moves are enough for you to use. Chen Xiang looked at his left hand and sighed. It's a pity that only this part has bones. Chen Xiang had mastered these 2 moves in just one night, but he felt that it was not enough. After that, he used a few more days of time and used a portion of the bones techniques once or twice. Chen Xiang had mastered these 2 moves in just one night, but he felt that it was not enough. After that, he used a few more days of time and used a portion of the bones techniques once or twice. You don't need to use weapons in battle, but you can use protective gear, Yuer replied. This way, you won't be able to use your G.O.D. murdering sword techniques at all. The G.O.D. murdering sword techniques was also one of Chen Xiang's trump cards, although he did not use it much. I'm fine. Chen Xiang understood the 7 devil-slaying kung fu, and there were similarities between the time changes in the first style and the G.O.D. murdering sword technique. Chen Xiang exited the secret room. After taking a bath, he used the transmission array to head towards the Hundreds of Flowers village. Under Yuer's lead, he arrived at a large courtyard that was surrounded by 3 sides of a mountain. This is where they forge their equipment. The environment is not bad. When Chen Xiang walked into the courtyard, he immediately felt a warm wind blowing. It was extremely sultry inside, but he was able to endure it. At this time, Dongfang Xinyue and Lu Menger were both sitting cross-legged on stone stools beside the stove. Although it was very hot in this place, they did not feel hot at all. The 2 girls were dressed in extremely loose white dresses, and when Chen Xiang arrived, he did not disturb them. He entered the hall in the house, and the moment he entered, he saw that Xue Xianxian and Dongfang Jing were there. They were carefully looking at a drawing on a long table, and did not notice that Chen Xiang and Yuer had entered. Brother! Dongfang Jing unintentionally turned her head to look outside, and suddenly saw Chen Xiang standing there smiling, and exclaimed in surprise. When Xue Xianxian heard it, he also raised his head. After seeing Chen Xiang, he was rarely overjoyed and hastily walked over. I've been back for so long and finally saw you. Xue Xianxian and Chen Xiang hugged each other for a while, then looked at each other with deep emotions. They didn't need to say anything more, as they could already feel each other's feelings. I heard from Yuer that you guys wouldn't be staying in seclusion during this period of time, so I came here to try my luck and see if I could see you busy beauties. Chen Xiang laughed and gently caressed Dongfang Jing's head. Jing has become more powerful too, she is now a master refiner. Brother, I missed you so much. Dongfang Jing hugged Chen Xiang's arm and said tenderly. Chen Xiang looked at Lu Meng'er and Dongfang Xinyue, who were outside. They seemed to already know that he had come, but continued with their matter. What are the elder sister Meng'er and Xinyue doing? Why are they so serious? Chen Xiang asked softly. They are smelting artifact materials, which is very critical, so they can't stop right now. Shui Xianxian held Chen Xiang's hand and chuckled. Little scoundrel, don't go around bullying people in Hundreds of Flowers Village. How could I? I'm very honest, don't you believe me? Chen Xiang looked at Yu'er, who was in Dongfang Jing's embrace, and saw Yu'er shake her head. Shui Xianxian laughed. Look at Yu'er, she isn't even helping you. Honestly speaking, who have you harmed this time? I really don't have any. Yu'er, you're really not kind. Chen Xiang scratched his head, looking at Yu'er aggrieved, and then looking at Dongfang Jing. Brother, just be honest with me. It's going to be like this anyways. It's not like Sister Xianxian will say anything to you. Dongfang Jing smiled gently and sweetly. Jing, you. Chen Xiang was completely speechless. Dongfang Jing actually said the same thing. Well, yes. Sister Violet Orchid and Sister Hui Shan. And there's also Sister Qinlian. Chen Xiang told her the truth. This was the woman that he had intimate with after he returned. This. Really? Big Sister Hui Shan, you dare to move. Although Shui Xianxian said that, he was already stepping on Chen Xiang's feet. Dongfang Jing also snickered by the side. Xianxian, can you guys help me refine a pill furnace? After so many years, I still don't have a good pill furnace. Chen Xiang purposely pretended to be pitiful. After Shui Xianxian heard this, he snorted. Why didn't you say so earlier? Chen Xiang laughed. How can it be as good as yours, using your pill furnaces to concoct pills? I will definitely make it much smoother. I will concoct many pills for all of you to eat. Shui Xianxian looked at Dongfang Jing and immediately took out a thick piece of paper. This is the blueprint that we found in the Divine Book. It's mainly for refining a divine stove. It's not difficult for us to refine it, it's just that we are lacking in the materials, because the materials that we need are materials that we have never seen before, so we have never heard of them before. What materials do you need? Give me a list and I'll think of a way to get it. Chen Xiang said. Shui Xianxian immediately wrote down a list for Chen Xiang. They were only missing 3 items. Chen Xiang had heard of them before, but since they were lacking, then they must be very precious. Right, there's one more thing. Chen Xiang let the Profoundwa clothing reveal himself and said, This is the Profoundwa clothing, have you all seen this before from that divine book? I have. After Shui Xianxian learned that this was a Profoundwa clothing, he suddenly became very excited. He anxiously came over and touched it, and then used his spiritual sense to investigate this Profoundwa clothing, which was the same for Dongfang Jing. It's broken, and it's very serious. Shui Xianxian said as his brows knitted together. Originally, there were 9 divine deity grooves here, and they were meant for divine deity. Now, there's only 1 of them, and the fused divine deity does not match the Profoundwa clothing either, causing the Profoundwa clothing's power to decrease by a lot. Shui Xianxian said. Dongfang Jing nodded his head. But repairing isn't easy either. According to the records in the Divine Book, refining this Profoundwa clothing back then was extremely difficult. It was one of the hardest among the 5 divine weapons. This Profoundwa clothing is very hard to obtain. Chen Xiang said. Then Shui Xianxian and Dongfang Jing guided him, and quickly took it off according to the method written in the Divine Book. Chen Xiang now knew that when Shui Xianxian and the others were refining and setting up the array, they were both involved in the coordination and usage of divine deity, so they had a very deep understanding of this aspect. Can you guys fix it? Do you need me to refine something else? Chen Xiang asked. I still don't know. Let's talk after Elder Sister Meng'er and Sister Warm Moon have arrived. Although this Profoundwa clothing is broken, its defensive power is still very strong. It's alright for you to just take it off like this. Shui Xianxian was a little worried. This was Chen Xiang's life-saving armor. Don't worry, I still have other methods. The art of breeding heavenly elephants that Chen Xiang cultivates is also a very powerful defensive delay art. The dead man suddenly came back and threw us so many things to do. Lu Menger's soft groan came from outside the door. Hearing Lu Menger's voice, Chen Xiang couldn't help but think back to everything that had happened between him and Lu Menger. Dongfang Xinyue smiled at Chen Xiang charmingly. That charming smile was filled with a myriad of emotions. As Lu Menger spoke, he had already reached the side of the table and picked up the profound Wu clothing, looking at it. I can fix it. It will take some time, but it's a bit more difficult to fill in the missing divine deity. Lu Menger handed the profound Wu clothing over to Dongfang Xinyue, and then gently wiped the sweat off Chen Xiang's forehead. A few days ago, that girl Yulan came to find me. She said that she wanted to fight for us, the Devil Emperor. Lu Menger asked. She was not clear about these things. Lu Menger and the others weren't very clear about this matter, and Ling Yulan didn't explain in detail to them either, as if he was worried that they would stop him. Lu Menger and the others weren't very clear about this matter, and Ling Yulan didn't explain in detail to them either, as if he was worried that they would stop him. Chen Xiang told them about this matter. No wonder Qilian came to find me a few days ago and asked if I wanted to partake. 1p8 in the compet. 1 Tian. We were not interested in that. Lu Menger said. When the time comes, Yulan and Qianxiang will definitely go all out. They really like fighting against all kinds of opponents. Seeing Chen Xiang's smile, Xue Xianxian asked, Husband, you aren't partake. 1p8ing right? I'm definitely going to partake. 1p8. Don't you know how much the little baldy underestimates me? Chen Xiang said with an unconvinced face. You're still saying that I don't have any proper methods, so I don't have any strength. Lu Menger and the others were Chen Xiang's women after all, so they knew everything about this. Even though they were not clear about Chen Xiang's strength at the moment, according to their understanding of Chen Xiang, there was no way he would do something where there was no chance of victory. When the time comes, we won't go. You will definitely win. This is something without any suspense. Since we know you can win, there's no point in us going. Dongfang Xinyue smiled as she caressed Chen Xiang's handsome face. Xue Xianxian said, Sister Han Ro came to us and told us that you have collected all the ancient divine weapons. Can you let us take a look? Lu Menger and the others were more interested in these things, just like how Ling Yulan and the others were obsessed with battles. Chen Xiang placed the Azure Dragon Divine Saber, Suzaku Bao, Qilin Fire Chain, and the White Tiger Gloves on the table. These items looked extremely ordinary, but were all refined by the Heavenly Divine Lord. Heavenly Divine Lord has recorded all he learned about artifact forging in the Divine Book. All of these are in that book. Now that I can see what's inside, it's pretty amazing. Lu Menger held onto the Green Dragon Divine Saber and waved it a few times. Although the blade looked very ordinary, the materials used and the complicated spirit grain inscriptions drawn inside were not ordinary at all. After playing with them for a while, they finally got Chen Xiang to keep them. The only problem was that these divine weapons did not have enough divine deity within them. Leave this profound clothing with us for now. We will help you repair it as soon as possible. Lu Menger placed the profound clothing into a wooden chest and stored it away. What you need the most right now should be a good pill furnace. Chen Xiang nodded. Didn't you guys say that you are lacking materials? The materials to refine that divine furnace must all be from the divine nations, and I might have to go there to find them. Xue Xianxian kept all the blueprints on the table, and took out a few cups, and poured some fragrant fruit juice for the people here. There's no need to go to the divine nations to find him. Xue Xianxian took out a plate, poured some juice on it and set it to Yuer. Thank you, Sister Xianxian, Yuer tenderly said. Xue Xianxian smiled, gently patted Yuer's little head, and continued, You can ask Great Divine Lord for it. The divine book in our hands was originally from 9 divine kings, so they definitely have a lot of materials in their hands. Dongfang Xinyue also nodded his head. Since they have the intention to return to their country, they must be writing quite a bit of resources in this area. Chen Xiang did not actually think about going to Great Divine Lord. He really did need a good pill furnace. The divine pills he refined next would require him to make all sorts of dangerous attempts. Ordinary pill furnaces would not be able to handle them. Alright, I'll go now. Chen Xiang nodded. When Great Divine Lord and the others were saved, they built a heavenly divine palace on that desert. Great Divine Lord even said that he wanted to open a dragon vein. Chen Xiang still remembered where he was. He had left the Hundreds of Flowers village and was teleported to the nearest city in the desert. After arriving at the city, he immediately found out that the Heavenly Divine Palace was openly recruiting disciples. Right now, Great Divine Lord could not directly partake 1. p. 8 in the affairs of 9 heaven world, or else divine nations would also take action, and seeing the outbreak of war here was not what Great Divine Lord wished to see, but he could take this opportunity to choose an outstanding seedling to begin nurturing. Right now, he had so many resources, and Great Divine Lord and the rest had a deep foundation. He could quickly nurture a group of outstanding disciples. This city was still rather far from the Heavenly Divine Lord, but Chen Xiang knew where he was heading. He immediately used the SPAC wind to go through a mountain range, and discovered that he seemed to have taken the wrong path. It should be a desert ahead. Chen Xiang looked at the beautiful prairie in front of him and started to suspect if he had recognized the wrong direction. Just when he was unsure, he saw a group of people riding magic treasures flying over. Behind them, there were also people riding magic treasures continuously, and there were quite a few people coming and going. This place has definitely been remodeled by the Heavenly Divine Palace before. With their powers, this place is too easy. After Chen Xiang understood everything, he continued to use the SPAC wind to move forward. Not long after, he stopped because he felt a weak spatial fluctuation in front of him. This was caused by a powerful formation. In front of them was the majestic Heavenly Divine Palace. Just the golden door was enough to shock everyone, let alone the tall buildings inside. Through the wide open doors, one could see the magnificent buildings and the tall mountains. There were not just buildings, but also mountains and rivers, making the interior very beautiful and comfortable to live in. Although the door was wide open, not everyone could enter. The door that led to the dragon had a translucent barrier that could be seen at a glance. Anyone who entered would be blocked by this barrier. What Chen Xiang did not understand was that there were no guards outside the gate, nor were there any other small doors. He did not know how to enter as well, but many people were currently waiting and chatting at the bottom of the gate. An old man who was very talkative saw that Chen Xiang was at a loss, and walked over, laughing. "This little brother, is this your first time here? Don't you know how to get in?" Chen Xiang didn't have any way to contact the Great Divine Lord right now. He nodded. He wanted to see the Great Divine Lord as soon as possible. Don't worry, once noon arrives, the enchantment will weaken. As long as you can enter this door, even if you pass the first stage of the examination and the next stage, I heard that there are a total of 3 stages. You will be able to become a member of the Heavenly Divine Palace after passing the first stage. The old man said, I can pass the first stage, but I can never pass the second stage. Chen Xiang finally understood that there were actually many people who came here every day to try and pass the 10 trials set up by the Heavenly Divine Palace. Interesting. Chen Xiang laughed. He also wanted to see the content of the Heavenly Divine Palace's examinations. Young man, being confident is a good thing, but being too confident is not so good. This exam was extremely difficult, especially so for the final test. It was said that not even Empyrean gods would be able to pass it, but strangely, only a few imps from the profound god and true god could pass so I guessed that someone was guarding the third trial. The old man said. Chen Xiang looked at the blazing sun in the sky, and it was almost noon, he said. It seems that the Heavenly Divine Palace's assessment is mainly about potential, and only people with great potential have value in nurturing them. Chen Xiang looked at the blazing sun in the sky, and it was almost noon, he said. It seems that the Heavenly Divine Palace's assessment is mainly about potential, and only people with great potential have value in nurturing them. The old man did not agree with Chen Xiang's words. If what you say is true, then wouldn't I, the old man, be hopeless? I am working very hard, and I believe that I will definitely be able to join the Heavenly Divine Palace. Chen Xiang also didn't know what the Heavenly Divine Palace had done to make so many people want to join their rank. Hard work is also a type of potential. Chen Xiang laughed. Old senior, if you are really willing to work hard, then you still have a lot of potential. The old man laughed. Young man, you look different from the others. Are you a disciple of a famous sect? It sounds like he's talking in an enigmatic manner. When noon arrived, the people at the front of the door all shouted. Chen Xiang and the old man looked over, only to see the door's enchantment suddenly flash, turning into a light gold color, and everyone rushed in. I'll go in first. I'll wait for you at the second stage. When the old man saw this group of young people charging around like mad bulls, he shook his head and quickly walked over. Chen Xiang could feel a faint energy fluctuation on the old man's body, as though he was controlling the mysterious power on his body to tremble slightly. Just like this, he very easily stepped into the faint golden light curtain and entered the wide plaza. Chen Xiang also walked over. The barrier was indeed much weaker now. He had only used a little of his spatial energy to get past the translucent barrier. Old Man Han can easily enter because he has tried many times, but who is this kid? I've been here for so long, but I've never seen him before. Could it be that he went in the first time? A middle-aged man said. Everyone looked at Chen Xiang's back and started to discuss. What made Chen Xiang even more baffled was that only he and Old Man Han had entered. No one else was able to enter, and he didn't know how great the resistance of the light screen was either. When he entered, he couldn't feel it at all. You really came in. Old Man Han saw that Chen Xiang was following him and was still surprised, because he had tried many times before to get in. He thought that no matter how strong Chen Xiang was, he would have to be hit a few times, yet Chen Xiang just casually walked in like he was walking normally. Chen Xiang only smiled and then asked, Senior, what is the second round of examination? The second test is to go to that mountain. There will be a lot of obstacles along the way. The old man pointed to a tall mountain on the left. You can pass by a house at the foot of the mountain. So easy. Chen Xiang saw that the mountain was not too far away. He would be able to reach there after a while using the SPAC wind. It's not easy at all. There will be a lot of people blocking the way, all of them are a ray trap. Occasionally, there will be some beasts or even some plants that can be used to harass people. The old man shook his head and smiled bitterly. As long as they said through the forest, they would be able to reach the foot of the mountain. Chen Xiang had just tested it a moment ago and could feel that SPAC wind. When can we start? Chen Xiang asked. I can start now, but I need to make some preparations. This is the 15th time I've successfully entered. The old man sighed. Chen Xiang asked, Senior, where exactly is the Heavenly Divine Lord attracting you? The old man was surprised. Don't tell me you didn't know when you came? What exactly are you here for? Chen Xiang scratched his head and laughed. I was just sing by, and then I planned to come in to take a look. So what's so good about Heavenly Divine Lord? You are an outsider, you definitely can't understand. We grew up in this region, and the sudden appearance of this heavenly divine palace caused this originally barren land to become so lively. Furthermore, there's a dragon vein here, and that's enough to attract many people," the old man said. Chen Xiang nodded his head. The heavenly divine palace did not need to do much. Just the change here was enough to make many fear the strength of the heavenly divine palace. "Then I'll take my leave. Senior, you must work hard." Chen Xiang smiled at the old man, then used the S.P.A.C. wind and disappeared. The old man was shocked by Chen Xiang. He immediately looked around and did not see any more signs of Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang had already entered the forest, and in the blink of an eye, he had already said through the forest and arrived at the small hut below the mountain that the old man had mentioned before. "It's you." On the stone table in front of the hut, a woman was eating. This woman was really Jiu Hanru's good sister, Chu Yunhui. "Big sister Yunhui," Chen Xiang sweetly shouted, with a gentle smile on her face. "Did I disturb you?" Chu Yunhui looked at the sun in the sky and said with a bit of surprise, "It's only noon and I've already cleared 2 stages. Hee, if you weren't powerful, you wouldn't have been able to save us. You must be here to look for the great divine lord. You can just go straight up the mountain." Chu Yunhui pointed to a mountain road. "Thank you, big sister Yunhui." After Chen Xiang expressed his thanks, he immediately walked toward the mountain road. "If you see little Jiu Mei and Yu Jie, tell them to find me when they have time to play. I will be able to hear your shouts outside the door," Chu Yunhui warned Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang responded, then used the S.P.A.C. wind to go up the mountain. This guy is getting more and more familiar with the use of spatial energy. Chu Yunhui mumbled to himself as he continued to eat her food. Chen Xiang quickly reached the summit. There was only a small hut here, but the great divine lord actually lived in such a simple place. He stood at the summit of the mountain and looked at his surroundings, discovering that there were a lot of green mountains that were not too tall and not too short either. Chen Xiang looked towards the door of the hut and saw a middle-aged man smiling as he walked out. He then pointed to a wooden table at the entrance. "Sit." There were so many grand buildings here, but he decided to stay here for other reasons. He suspected that these green mountains all had a channel that linked them to the dragon vein, allowing them to quickly absorb the energy inside the deep dragon vein. "This new heavenly divine lord is pretty good," said. Great divine lord also took out something to entertain Chen Xiang, just like old friends meeting each other. Great divine lord laughed. "It's just that there are too few people. Do you have any suggestions?" Right now, there were more middle and strong great divine lords, but they did not have any new blood, which was why they needed to recruit disciples with potential. "I suggest that you go to the 9 Heaven School and the bosses of the devil-killing divine city secretly. You can borrow a few people from them or form an alliance inside," Chen Xiang said.